Hello, this is the Pat McAfee Show. Thursday, October 1st. And the open song did not work when I pressed play on it twice. I have no playback. I cannot hear the serious people in New York or the people behind the glass window. But it is a beautiful Thursday, October 1st, because tonight, for the first time in the league's great history, we have a mega bowl happening between the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets. The Jets are a football team that looks like it's the worst football team ever assembled. You can go back to the Little Giants who had to use Tums for intimidation. You can go back to the Water Boy and his team that was playing down there. Incredible jersey by you today, Connor. You can go back to all the glorious football teams you've ever heard. The people are saying that the New York Jets are the worst football team to ever be assembled. Tonight is one of their only opportunities to really get a win this season. Will they be able to give their fans one evening of yes, one evening of oh yeah, one evening of thank God we didn't suck tonight? Woo! They could. They're playing against a team with a quarterback with no name, the Denver Broncos. Everybody on their team is also injured. But let's just remember, and Diggs pointed it out this morning to me, just a few months ago, when we were locked down in our house, we would be yearning for this evening's game. We would be begging for tonight's matchup. So let's put that into perspective. And I know people are saying, if COVID was going to run wild on one NFL team, why did it not decide to go to the Jets or the Broncos? Well, we're happy that they didn't, obviously, because we want everybody to be healthy and safe. I want Thursday Night Football tonight to be awesome, which I think it will be. Just 1 week ago, people thought the Dolphins and the Jags was going to be a terrible football game. What was it? Electrifying.
Yep. Magical.
It was Fitz-magical. That's right, Zito. Thank you. I expect the same thing tonight. Teams are going to let it all out there, knowing that they got a 3-day break on the other side of this, knowing that if they don't win this game, they will be the laughing stock of everybody, because this is the laughing stock bowl tonight on Thursday Night Football. It's not Denver's fault that their entire team has been injured. It's not the Jets' fault that Adam Gase is still the head coach. Mm-hmm. The players are going to go out there and play, and I expect a great matchup. Tonight, the New York Jets potentially stall themselves from being just the third team in the league's existence of going 0-16. If you don't think that's important, get the fuck out of town. Yeah. And the Denver Broncos, that coaching staff, who knows where they lie in John Elway's eyes, but if you can get a coach or a team that is quarterbacked by a guy named Ripien to get going and get a W on Thursday Night Football, those coaches are going to run with that until their deathbed. Tonight will be an epic battle. Tonight we will see simple concepts taking on stupid concepts. Tonight we will see an NFL game that just a few months ago we would have been begging to see. So go ahead and put your minds right back into when we were all locked down in the couch. Mm-hmm. When there was no live events, there was no new movies coming out. We had no idea if anything was going to come back. At this point, March Madness had been canceled. The MLB season had been canceled. The NBA had to be stopped right while it was getting good. Everything was crumbling and falling down. Let's take ourselves back to that moment so we can really appreciate what we have tonight. Mm-hmm. Because there was a time not too long ago where this would have been unimaginable. Now it's happening. Who's going to suck more? Who's going to be great maybe for one night? Oh. That's Thursday Night Football. Oh, the boys are here at Tone Diggs, at Boston Connor, wearing a Waterboy jersey right there. I love what you're up to, Bub.
Thank you, Pat. It's Bobby Boucher, one of the greatest linebackers in NFL history.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bobby Boucher, water sucks. It really sucks. He used to get very upset whenever people said that for good reason.
Yeah, and hopefully Fangio or Gase can get really upset about something because both their teams suck.
I do believe the Waterboy potentially gets on the field tonight for both these teams if he was still playing.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? I still believe he's potentially one of the most dominant forces. Is Adam Sandler the most decorated on-screen football player?
Yes.
Ooh, Falco.
Yeah, I mean, can't go against Keanu.
Played both sides of the ball.
Yeah, but Falco, I don't think... Did Falco
run him?
Well, Keanu Reeves Falco and Johnny Utah.
Oh, I forgot about Johnny Utah.
Went to the Rose Bowl twice.
Well, because I was about to say, you got to remember, old buddy, whenever he was in the longest yard, he was a Super Bowl champ, I think, or wasn't he? Or something like
MVP.
Paul Crew,
yeah, you know what I mean? So,
you're very right.
And he was defensive side of the ball. He was a game changer down there at Louisiana State or whatever it was. No, it was
Southeastern
Louisiana State or something like that.
That's it. And he could hit a golf ball a country mile. But how can you not get fired up for loser or coach gets fired? I mean, this is a gladiator match tonight when you really think about it.
Man, it really is a gladiator match. You should see him play video games too. The greatest running back, on-screen running back in the history of television.
Jimmy Fox.
And you told him that right to his face, right?
Oh yeah, right to his face.
And you guys got along with it?
We dabbed up. We're best friends, and he hasn't talked to me since.
I think you dapped up. I don't know if you dabbed up, unless you guys just kind of did the sneeze thing.
We sneezed together.
Hitting dabs.
Unity.
Anyways, tonight's a big game at Tyson.
Huge game. Can't wait. I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm not so sure both these guys aren't going to throw for 350 yards tonight. I might like the over in that. They're not getting any respect.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. We have Darius Butler joining us here in a few moments. He's 2-0 right now on his quarterback pass yardage over-under bets he's given us the last 2 Thursdays. And this is a great little prop bet for us to make money off of. Tonight, we got Darnold and Ripien.
A couple gunslingers.
Brady Breeze.
Darius has been watching film the last 3 days. He said, I got another lock for you guys. I don't know what it is. He told Foxy. I asked him not to tell me. I just want to kind of find out later. I'm intrigued by this matchup tonight because, bad football sucks to watch, okay?
Brutal.
Bad football is tough to watch. But ugly football is awesome to watch.
Yes.
Bad football is not great. Ugly football is awesome. And I think tonight you have some ugly football. I think there's some turnovers that you're like, well, how, what happened there? I think there's some maybe massive hits and massive shots happening. I think we're going to have a pretty good little Thursday night football tonight.
So pumped.
And we're going to have locks from Darius Butler. We're also going to talk to the incredible Jared Allen. Remember the hog-tying man himself from the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Bears, and the Carolina Panthers. He retired by riding off into the sunset on a horse via video, so can't wait to talk to him. And also the Mooch from NFL Network. Steve Mariucci joins us in the third hour with AJ Hawk. We hope all your phone calls, 1-888-MAD-DOG. Mad Dog 6. Will you let me just get the 6 out?
Oh, okay.
Mad Dog 6. Yeah. Because whenever there's some people that listen, and anytime you start barking, it just cuts out the microphone, you see.
Well, yeah, but the barking is the Mad Dog. So if they don't understand that while we bark, it's replacing the Mad Dog 6. I just figured that kind of went along with it.
Well, the Mad Dog is Chris Mad Dog Russo, who's a trailblazer in the sports talk space. This is his channel we're on here on SiriusXM. He comes up next. Hey, I got a chance to listen to like good 2 hours of his show yesterday.
Yeah.
He's good.
Awesome
stuff.
I haven't listened for a little bit because I obviously have shit immediately afterwards. Guy's good at talking about stuff.
Smooth like
He
butter.
loves playoff baseball. Was he talking a lot of playoff baseball?
A lot of playoff baseball, and that's why I was listening, by the way, because I don't know much about the baseball, so it kind of just got hooked. So I appreciate him letting us on his channel, and I appreciate the callers stop bitching about us saying fuck.
Yeah, seriously.
That's really nice. What are we, week 3 into this thing? Week 4 into this
Serious
thing?
radio.
There's a lot to talk about here today. Steelers and Titans game has officially been postponed to later in the season.
There goes my fantasy team.
Yeah, your fantasy team. Zito talked about this earlier. He's got Roethlisberger starting quarterback. Derrick Henry is starting running back. And
Team Pornhub. We're going down.
All right. And after a COVID outbreak in the Tennessee Titans facility, one day after playing the Minnesota Vikings. First, it was 3 players, 5 personnel. Then it became 4 players, 5 personnel. And then as of this morning, I believe it became 5 players, 5 personnel, because COVID-19 can incubate in your body for a few days. And yesterday we talked to Shefty, and Shefty told us that the look would be for potentially Monday or Tuesday, depending upon if more positive tests came back or not. So if it was just the 3 and then the 1 extra one of the 4 and the 5 personnel, and it remained just those 9, I believe the NFL's idea was, okay, then we got it contained, we keep them out of here. But now that another positive came, or another 2 positives came today, Shefty said that they would probably make the decision to delay the game or postpone the game further down the road. So now we're at a position where the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are undefeated, they're getting hot. Ben Roethlisberger's figuring out how to play Ben Roethlisberger football again. The defense is still dominant. A massive AFC game after the Titans came back from being behind against the Minnesota Vikings on Derrick Henry's shoulder. Now the Steelers have to take their bye week here in week 4. Their week 8 bye week, which is, we just hit Yahtzee on the bye week schedule game for right in the middle of the season. So the Steelers will have a bye week now in week 4 without really being told that they had a bye week. So it's not really a bye week. And I do believe they're still going to have to get tested. So not going to be able to go anywhere. So does a bye week really matter in 2020? I guess not. But the Steelers now have a week 4 bye week, as do the Titans, and they'll postpone it later. Everybody assumes that the way to do this would be the Steelers play the Ravens in week 8. The Ravens have a bye in week 8. NFL could very easily move Ravens-Steelers to week 8 and put Steelers-Titans in week 7 because I believe that's when the Titans bye week is. So that makes sense. It actually kind of worked out for them to be able to reschedule it. Sucks for the Steelers, who in this particular case have nothing in their building or any other things happening. And obviously sucks for the Titans because I assume they didn't want to have this happen to them, but it did. Now, the big conversation piece is that the Titans did nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong. And that it's a pandemic. And that son of a bitch can get into your life in fashions that we had never heard before. Sometimes there's a DoorDash delivery person that somebody said. Ooh. Somebody said they gave a fist bump to their mailbox and the mailman touched the mailbox and it got on them. Oh. There's all these different ways, I guess, for the COVID to infiltrate your house and your building. But, Ty...
Yeah, they've proved that that's bullshit, though, right? I mean, you take all these tests, no guys are getting it. Every other team in the league has to deal with the same thing, and there's no issues there. So it really isn't just like, oh, we're in a pandemic. It's like, I don't know what happened, but somebody definitely fucked up, and that's why they had an outbreak.
That is very interesting whenever you look at it from Ty's perspective, which is normally a little bit more of a cynical side.
I mean, you could say that, but look at the data.
Realistic.
Look at the data.
31 other teams. 0 for everybody.
None. Huh.
One team, which is in Nashville, which is a great city, and I would assume
a lot of fun.
Nashville is a great city. We love Nashville. Gorgeous. The only thing that's bad about it is those little pedal things that, by the way, I got tweeted from one of those little pedal companies and said, go on it. You understand why everybody's so happy to be on there. I'm like,
yeah, I want to work out.
I bet it.
Wait, the pedals is it's purely
just,
arbitrary.
Yeah, it's optics strictly. You don't actually have to work out. Good for you.
Nice.
Good news for everybody. You don't have to work out. But aside from that, the pedal bar or whatever, Nashville, great city, great time. I would assume, was there a potential, you go out, you make one mistake, you're in the NFL locker room, you make one mistake, you accidentally go to some place, you do this, you contract it, you don't even know you have it because you're a strapping man and you don't even know, maybe it's allergies, you think to yourself. Ooh. Then you go into the building, you dap somebody up, give them a hug, all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, now 1 becomes 2. And what happens? That person has no idea because they've been locked down in their house, by the way.
Oh, no.
And they've been trusting that everybody else has been doing the same exact thing. So what do? They go and give a hug to somebody in the player personnel department. They're like, hey, why don't you come on over here? Let's talk about this. And then boom, boom, boom. And that's how you see we got to where we are right now because that entire situation happened in one place and then people are dapping up and hugging each other and now it just took over the whole world and shut everything down. It happened to the Tennessee Titans locker room. And I don't 100% know if somebody knowingly fucked up.
Right.
But it does feel as if there should be some accountability when 31 other teams can get it done, but one team can't. It just kind of, and we all assume that it's going to happen again. And you're just going to have to hope that the schedule's set up in a fashion that they can do what they're able to do here for the Titans and the Steelers. But how many times can you do that? And so you got to start moving weeks around and things like that. This is going to get interesting. And the schedule makers for the NFL are some of the most talented humans, okay? They got to deal with a lot of shit. Primetime games, negotiations, deals, who's paying us the most, who can play where, what game, what teams seem like that could be a potential big game at the end of the season. I mean, they got all that going on. Now they're going to have to play Tetris with COVID. And, you just got to hope that you get a lot of the straight line ones and just be able to figure it out like this Titans-Steelers bye week one.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't think it was something egregious. I mean, I'm sure someone, after they win, some guy just goes to a restaurant or something like that. But, you're still opening yourself up to that. And like you said, I mean, if every other team is doing this and they've been doing it the correct way and they haven't had an outbreak, then there was a break of containment somewhere.
I would like to let the players know, though, that I completely understand that you wanted to go get a meal at a restaurant.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Derek Carr came out and said that he talked about how he and his wife haven't left the house basically for 4 months because of how careful he's been, and that the charity event, I don't know if he told Florio this or Florio just reported on it, because there was pictures the other day of some Raiders players without a mask on at a charity event, which is something I mentioned last week because I saw the Colts doing community events, which is great, by the way. You should give back if you're in a position to do so. But I thought the big thing was like, hey, guys, you're going to have to lock down here for 6 months. And it sucks. Like that. I am somebody right now telling any NFL player that's watching this, and Chris Sims says nobody does, but if somebody is watching this that is in the NFL, I want to let you know that I would not be able to do what you're being asked to do right
Brutal.
now. Okay, I would not be able to do it. I am not a human that would be able to do what you're being asked to do and you're being told to do. I would not be able to do it, but it does feel like that's going to be the only way that this year works. Training camp, by the way, nobody's going out, right? Training camp, you had, I think, double the amount of humans in the NFL. I think they had a couple early and then everybody got zero. But training camp is it's a restricted schedule. It's like, hey, here you go, you're at this, you're till this, you're at home. And now when you got into the season, I was intrigued to see the freedoms that potentially you were allowed to have, how that was going to affect. Because all you need is the 53rd person on the roster who just got on the team maybe to just not know exactly like, oh, I can't even do this, or this is possible, or an incredibly unlucky break where maybe your child goes and does something. I don't even know if, by the way, I'm not getting into that, if that can happen, but it's just, there's so much at stake. Everybody's going to have to just fucking just hope that they don't get it however you can.
Yeah, unlike the Titans, the Steelers are going to control the controllables. They're going to keep their kids home. They're going to homeschool them, okay?
That's what Roethlisberger came out.
And we're not going to live in our fears, okay? No bye week, no big deal. We're still going to practice today, not a big deal.
Seems like you're living in your fears, though, if you're doing homeschooling for everybody.
No, that's controlling the controllables. And we're not going to make excuses. And the standard is going to be the standard. I mean, for the city, like, that was raised on steel and grit and Rust Belt.
Hell yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You think my father and my father's father and his father,
Yoy.
they went to the doctor and, hey guys, you got the black lung. Maybe you should take a week off. You think they were like, oh, yeah, we can do that? No. They went in the steel mill that next day, that very next day.
They dove in, actually.
Head came
first.
out with soot from head to toe.
Yeah.
Okay?
And they didn't live long.
This team embodies that goddamn city, okay?
Yeah.
Last time they had a week 4 bye.
When?
Big Ben won the Super Bowl, okay?
Wow!
This team is going to survive.
I didn't know that. By the way, life expectancy for the people that worked in those mills and things like that,
not good.
very, very low because of said thing there.
Yeah.
Because the McAfees have had some mill workers in the family tree, believe it or not. And the family tree for the McAfee's not a tall one, you see. It's more like a shrub. A lot of sons of bitches just exiting early. And I do believe it was because of said air that they were just inhaling every single day.
They really could have used a bye week.
They could have used the bye week. They could have used the bye week. The McAfees and the DeGilios and the Moraldos from back in the day down there on the river in the mills, they could have used a bye week or 10. And that maybe a bye year or 2. That would have been good.
Is there still mills down there?
Yeah, there's been a lot that's been reformed though into like malls and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, they turned one into a movie theater, which is also a dead industry.
It's more health and tech now, but
Yeah, you got to remember though, for I don't know how long, and I mean this is nowhere near a fact, but it feels like it's right if somebody was to look it up. I think for like 50 years running, Pittsburgh had the worst air in America.
yeah.
Ooh.
Like,
Number one.
Number one, man.
Hell yeah.
It was just like another thing. Like, hey, when you walk outside, it's not good.
No.
Like, hey, don't even think about wearing a mask either because you look like a little bitch.
Well, that's the thing about these Steelers, too, is that it's a bummer that we're not going to be able to see if practice counts or not since the game got postponed. But now we're going to be able to see, does school matter? You know, because all this homeschooling, Big Ben's kids, you know, they might cure cancer someday and they didn't even go to school.
Yeah, I mean, that is a 15, 20-year plan that we're going to have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, just something. Hey, long run. If you want to get your betting odds in now,
That
probably
is
should.
something we're going to have to think about.
8th most polluted in the nation.
that's right now. That's
Right
just,
now, yeah.
I mean,
And that's everything's been shut down. So that's just the lingering.
Jeez.
That's just the shit that's
clouds.
hanging out, dude. I will say, there is something that you just earn from growing up in a city like that. And this is something that Foxy said. There's just a certain level of grit that kids who grow up in warm climates or whatever are incredibly, that you just don't earn.
No.
Like when you walk out the door and you're just punched right in the suckhole with pneumonia and grit.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Shovels.
It's 7:30 a.m. You don't want to go to work on a Monday morning, and you got to walk out to your car and scrape so much ice off your car, and you still make it to work. That's grit that Florida will never understand.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different states that you
Yeah.
could have attacked there. So,
Florida's got a.
They're just a classic
great.
worm.
and I would like them to know that, by the way, you guys got a lot of things that we didn't get, like year-round football and baseball and track.
Soccer.
and
Getting in the pool whenever you want.
Yeah, so listen, we are envious of what you have too, and I don't get. But we just want to let you know there are some things that if you don't live in the Four Seasons, you do not know about.
I'll take grit every day of the week. I don't want the pool. I don't want the warm weather.
That rule about that score about how clean our air was. It was always so alarming to see it.
Hey, and you talked about it the other day how you definitely probably had asthma. I mean, we woke up coming out of the womb with asthma. Okay, that's something we deal with. Okay.
I think so. How come if you're a Pittsburgh kid, you probably have asthma, and it's not maybe your lungs; it's actually just the air.
It used to be called the Smoky City.
Yeah, dude. Yes, it was outrageous.
That's such a
dude.
cool name.
You gotta remember what's his face that was on the local news. What was his name?
Barry Pangor.
It was
Sometimes it's going to happen. It ain't nothing to living in a great city in America. That's Pittsburgh. Hey, that's Pittsburgh, baby. Pittsburgh doesn't get a bye week. The Titans get one because of because of COVID here early. The NFL's adjusting. The NFL's dodging, ducking, dipping, diving, and dodging COVID as much as they can. But will they be able to dodge a suck bowl? Absolutely not. That happens tonight. Thursday Night Football. And on the other side of the break here, we'll have Darius Butler giving us a lock. This would be 3 in a row. A lock on a prop bet that I think we could take advantage of FanDuel on. It's over under pass yards for a quarterback. DB was a former DB in the NFL for 9 years. He breaks down the film, and he's been incredibly accurate on who's been able to pick apart who. Can't tell you who's going to fucking win the game or not. Last week, you got that wrong. But the prop bet of the over under on passing yards, undefeated.
Yep.
Let's make money together with D-Butt on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, October 1st, 2020.
We're back today with some more Gumpy nukes. I liked those stats yesterday, but I love these stats today. Let's start with two of the big dogs in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread, and they're covering by a whopping 11.7 points per game. Seattle Seahawks, same story, 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread, and they're covering by an average of 5.3 points per game. Now, to the over-under stat of the day. It's not about matchups, it's not about divisional matchups, it's about the time the game is played. The early kickoffs, the over is hitting at 22-5. Now, the late game kickoffs, the under is hitting at 9 out of 11 games. That is absurd. We'll be back tomorrow with Hammer Down to break down the massive Broncos and Jets matchup. Cheers.
Look, I don't understand the whole legal gambling thing. I've been gambling illegally my whole life. I don't get what you mean by FanDuel Sportsbook. Dude, illegal gambling is done. It stinks. Legal gambling is the greatest thing of all time. FanDuel Sportsbook has so many good bets. They even refund bets that they think didn't deserve to lose. They got all the spreads. They got same game parlays. You have to start gambling on FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal state. And that's not the only thing. They make it so easy to withdraw and deposit money. You can just link your bank, deposit whatever you want, withdraw whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yes,
I mean, this
please.
truly is the greatest sports gambling app out there.
He's right about the banking. It is the greatest, but you really don't understand the bets that this sports book has. They have in-game bets. They have in-game parlays, and he said it, but I'm going to say it again. The odds at this place are the best, and once you download FanDuel Sportsbook, we are going to take all of their money. All of their money. Right? 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 FanDuel! 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 FanDuel!
The Pat McAfee Show.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here. Thursday, October 1st, 2030. Welcome to October, which means welcome to Halloween month, which means around the corner we got Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got, Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Also Hanukkah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kwanzaa.
Also Kwanzaa. Also, there's one more. I just want to let you know, if you're celebrating, we're about it. So it's not like we're not forgetting anybody's number. And then New Year's, and then we're into 2021. We're out of here. So welcome to October. We beat 2020.
We did it.
Good for us. Joining us now is a man that's been helping us beat FanDuel with a particular prop bet that I don't think they saw coming. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who was in the NFL for a long time, played corner and safety. Now he's host of the Man to Man podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Darius Butler.
What's up, fellas? What's up?
Why'd you cut? You left the Butler Casino. Now you're up in front of some books. What happened out there?
Yeah, man, I got to switch it up. I go back and forth. Go from the studio to the bookshelf, the office. I'll switch it up, man. I got to move around the house.
I respect that a lot. Can I get your thoughts real quick on the game being postponed and the Steelers being basically forced into a bye week here without knowing it, and then potentially they're going to lose their bye week later, and it's going to change back and all that. If you're they get a week 4 bye, and then they're supposed to have a week 8 bye, but the Titans have a week 7 bye, so they're going to push the game between the Steelers and the Ravens from week 7 to week 8, and then they're going to play the Titans in week 7, which is where the Titans bye is. So now the Steelers and Titans take their bye now. This is probably what they're going to do. This has not been officialized, but this seems to make the most sense. Not that the most sense always wins in these particular situations, but if you're a player and you get told on a Thursday, hey, this is your bye week now, what is your mindset? And do you have to just be like, at this point, it's 2020, like this type of shit's going to happen?
Exactly. I feel like coming into this season, guys kind of prepared for, the unexpected. And you knew it wasn't going to be a fair season. Nothing about the season was going to be normal. I'm sure everybody had some type of contingency plans when it came to this. But as a player, you just got to be ready to play. And I saw that they were saying earlier the guys would just be able to watch film and not even be able to go in the facility and go out there and play. That would have obviously been unfair. But as a player, you just got to do what you got to do, especially with a year like this, with everything that's going on. The sooner you know, just like the sooner you know what the plan is, the better you can prepare and be mentally and physically ready to play. But that early bye week sucks. We know nobody wants a bye week in week 4, especially if you've been anticipating one in week 8, which would have been perfect. So it sucks for them, but I'm sure they'll adapt and, make it happen.
The importance of a bye week is understated. People come back as if it's an off season, but like that, it almost has a feeling as if guys just had like 3 months off because you're getting, you get into this routine every day. Groundhog's Day. The NFL is Groundhog's Day. It's just the same day, one after another. Here we go. And not for me, but for guys that are hitting people and having to study, like they have to study just as much as kids that are in school, even more so. So it's just like the hitting, the studying, the grind, the this, the treatment, the rehab, the this, the that, and then you get a break in that for like 5 days, and guys just get to like go home or travel or whatever. Now they won't be able to do that this year, but even just get out of that routine for a little bit, watch some TV. When guys come back, there's this renewed energy. There's like, hey, where'd you go? There's stories as if it was a fucking off season. There's just like, hey, here we go. And now, like, that's the word. The thing that I feel bad for most is the Steelers players that didn't know they had a bye week right now, so they didn't even get a chance to be like, hey, didn't even get a chance to shut it off just for a couple of days, because that's a very important thing now that we're learning more and more about mental health. But I think the importance of a bye week doesn't get talked about enough for an entire team's energy. In a week 4 bye week absolutely sucks. I mean, it's like, well, now you got 13 weeks on the back end here. You got to go.
Exactly. And the Steelers, they'll be in I think they'll be in the playoffs this year. So you'll see them having a long season. So you got a week 4 bye week, and then you got, 12, 14, 15 more weeks straight, which is brutal, especially when you're living in a place and it's cold. That makes a difference too.
No, Pittsburgh's a dream.
That makes a difference. When you're in the cold, I know for me it did. When you're in a cold city, you got that bye week circle. You're looking at the schedule, you got that bye week circle, and it's like a whole new season, like you said, coming out on the other side of that. So they can't get away on vacation, obviously, but now to not even have that bye week, blinders. Put your blinders on, keep chopping away. and just focus on what's in front of you, Pittsburgh. You guys got it.
Hey, remember, you're not a human.
Excuses.
Remember, you're not a human. So we don't want to hear shit about you being sore, okay? You are getting paid a lot of money. So the thought that you even want a break? Get the fuck out of here. We don't even want to hear it, pal.
There's no wall, yep. But I mean, it is what it is, man. 2020, it's been a battle. It's been a challenge for everybody, man. So I don't think, people feel sorry for them. They shouldn't feel sorry for themselves. And, we're football players. We adapt. And whatever it is, we got to go out there, roll it out, and play, man.
What did what did Robert Mathis tell Chuck Pagano? There ain't no pity parties.
Ain't no pity parties in the NFL, man. That carries on. That is what it is.
We had a loss. I forget what it was. And it was like a very quiet locker room or whatever. And Chuck was like, Robert, you got him or whatever. And Robert goes, all right. There ain't no pity parties in the NFL. Team on 3, 1, 2, 3. That's exactly what.
All right, on to the next one.
Well, okay. I guess you're fucking right. I mean, I hope we win next week because I'll tell you what, there'll be a lot of pity in this son of a bitch.
Sucks.
Tonight, we got a quarterback named Ripien taking on a quarterback named Samuel Darnold. You have been 2-0 in predicting who's going to go over or under in pass yards in this hammered down DB's deep dive into the quarterback passing yards over under tonight in the NFL's version of the Mega Bowl. Who will suck more? Who will suck less? What do you have? What are we hammering tonight, Darius?
Man, it's hard to imagine anybody can suck more than the Jets have this year so far. And this is, I've hammered the over the last 2 times. It's the first time I'm going to hammer the under on a guy. And Sam Darnold with the Jets, man. I can't see him hitting over 225 against this Broncos defense. And it's not all on him. It's the weapons that he has available. He will get Crowder back. But Gase and the play call, it's terrible. It's terrible all around. No protection. On the left tackle is probably the only good lineman up there blocking for him. And so I just see him struggling again tonight. But on the flip side, Ripien, the Mountains West all-time leading passer, he'll get his first shot, his first crack at it, and I'm taking the over on him. Every over on that guy, man. He had a drive where he looked very confident. Obviously, he was playing against a softer defense, softer coverages last week against the Bucks later on in the game. But he looked decisive. He was checking protections. He was hitting guys, and he has weapons around him. Fant, Judy, the list goes on. So he has weapons around him. So I'm looking for him to hit the over.
Oh, you think he's going to have like a big night, or you think he's just going to?
I wouldn't say a big night, but I think he'll definitely hit over. He'll be pretty accurate. I'm assuming. I think he'll definitely get over 205. I think that's a pretty easy line for an NFL quarterback. He's been throwing against these guys and on the scout team and dealing with those guys rushing, so he'll get some action with him. And the Jets, what they have on defense is not even comparable to the Bucs. So it'll look a little easier to him tonight.
Is accuracy the biggest Achilles heel for a DB from a quarterback?
Yeah, it's accuracy, and it's more so knowing, the quarterback knowing where to go with the ball pre-snap, because that's what a lot of these quarterbacks know where they're going with the ball, before the ball's even snapped. The smart ones are just kind of manipulating the defenders and moving them with their eyes and moving and shifting coverages, but they know pre-snap, okay, it's going to be a variation of this coverage or that coverage, so I know this is where I go with the ball. If you hear like Romo covering games, he breaks it down and makes it pretty simple. It's not as complicated as people make it. Single high coverage, you're going to have one-on-ones on the outside. If it's split safety, you know where those gaps will be in the inside. And so he looks like he's a smart kid, threw for a lot of yards in college. So I'm excited for him getting his first opportunity against the New York Jets.
They're bad at football.
Really bad.
In college, I've gotten a chance to watch a lot of college football here the last year and a half or so. And I said this kind of half jokingly, but pretty serious. I think I could be a Heisman finalist as a quarterback in college, right? Because I do. I honestly do believe that.
Yeah, I would not hammer that bet. I would not.
We're not. Hey, by the way, just want to let you know, D-But. Didn't
You're
care.
An athlete, though.
Didn't care for your opinion. Okay, I was getting to something that I wanted your opinion on.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Continue, please.
Yeah, well, I will, but I just want to let you know that I was going to and get to somewhere where I would be like, hey, D-But would like your opinion on this. I'll let you know when I get there.
Gotcha.
Okay? But in college, guys are wide open. Okay, guys are wide open on the back. I saw a guy throw for like 400 yards, and I don't think there was a single corner in sight for any of the receivers, right? Clemson has a great defense. There's some teams that have great defenses, but for a majority of these college teams, guys are just wide open. In the NFL, though, with these quarterbacks, if you miss by a half a yard or you miss by just a little bit, like you guys are eating on, like that is that the biggest jump with like a younger quarterback? It's like not only got to be able smart enough to handle it and all that shit, but if you miss at all, the target is so small because you got freaks defending these guys as opposed to just wide open wide receivers that are running down the field.
Yeah, the windows are much tighter, and so from the DB perspective, playing quarterbacks and on the college level, there's so much more room for error for me. Like I will come out of a break. I can peek in the backfield and kind of make a play on the ball more times than not. But then making that step to the NFL, coming out of that break, you had to be right on the man. You had to be as close as possible and just try to get a hand, because the ball was going to be there. It was going to be out in front. It was going to be right in the, position. Sometimes they'll even throw it behind him intentionally to kind of turn him back into the defense. Like, hey, I don't want to lead you into that hit, so I'm going to put on your back shoulder and turn you that way. So the accuracy is the biggest thing. And that, once again, goes back to how many things can you eliminate as a quarterback pre-snap, to know where to throw the ball, because that's going to help you with your accuracy. If you can, you can predetermine where guys are going to be, where the coverage guys are going to be, where my receiver is going to be. And these balls, you see balls completed all over the field, but these are like very calculated, like dig routes. I put a video up yesterday on Twitter about Trubisky being benched, and it's a dig route. Like that dig route, you want to complete that about 2 yards outside the hash. Like that's where you want to complete that ball as a quarterback. And if it's too wide or too far inside, it's probably going to be a pick. So it's that meticulous, and now the quarterbacks are that good and that accurate on this level.
That's why it's so insane to me, because like this Rippin guy, I've never heard of him. But if he's accurate, he has a chance. And he might not have even been the most explosive quarterback in college. You said he's all-time leader in Mountain West or whatever.
Yep.
You can see these guys who are really good in college, but then they get in the NFL and they're not as accurate as they have to be. And dudes just eat them alive. And it's like those are gimmies for you guys almost.
Yeah, this ain't the Mountain West. But if he got some good coaches that can help him out, and he's got a young group of players around him as well, so they're all kind of growing up together. But so it's going to really be on that coaching staff to put him in favorable positions. He's got 2 good running backs behind him as well. So the thing about young quarterbacks, you want a good tight end. He's got that in Fant. And you want running backs that you can dump it out and just check and just get into Gordon, get into Lindsey's hand, and make them do something with it after the ball. And then you pick and choose when you take your shot. So hopefully the coaching staff kind of got a good plan together. But talent-wise, in between the ears, I think he's got it. But, it's about getting those live reps. And it's a primetime game. And he got his first action last week, and kind of a short week where he's not getting any real practice, full-time reps this week. So he's just going out there and playing. So I'm excited for him, and we'll see. Hopefully he goes out there and put on a show.
As long as he throws for 205 yards.
Yep. 205.
That's all we need. That's all we need, dude. Nothing much more, dude.
You mentioned the Jets wide receivers, and they're kind of banged up. If you're in the Denver secondary, are you trying to get up in their face or confuse them at all? Or are you sitting back and just letting that stooge Gaze call a terrible play and picking it up?
Oh, no, I'm getting in their face. Just like Pat was talking about, I want to make those windows as tight as possible. I don't want to give Darnold, white zones, easy zones, giving free access to the receivers. I want to get in their face as much as possible and give my rush a chance to get home because that O-line in front of them isn't great. So the more we can disrupt the receivers, the more we can get in their face and throw off timing, the more time that it gives our guys to get after Darnold. And if you've been watching Darnold at all, he's been running for his life, all season. The first 3 games, he's averaging 175 in the air. And the throws that he has made, they've been amazing throws, but he has to make a Superman-type play every time. So I'm getting in their face, and I'm challenging those guys for sure.
He had 2 pick sixes last week. I don't know how reckless he's going to be this week, but, he's got to go for it. It's almost like we were told by Jordan Palmer that Jordan Love, whenever he was in college, he was the only stud on his team. So basically he was told, hey, go out there and make a play. I think he threw 17 interceptions or something like that. And he's the only guy on the team, basically. So he's I got to go force things. I got to go to. I wonder if Sam Darnold feels that same way. I have to make an insane play every single play, or we're going to lose by even more somehow. And it's, who knows, that could backfire for him, especially against Broncos. Obviously don't have, they don't have Von Miller. on the defensive side of the ball.
Boucher, I believe.
Boucher's out in the corner, but they have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
I think they're known for having a pretty good defense. So this could be more problems for the New York Jets tonight. DB, how come coverage sacks don't get talked about? You know, it's always like the defensive line did this, the defensive line did that. Do you guys ever kind of get pissed off that you don't get any credit for that?
No, not really, because they don't really get credit sometimes. When guys can jump routes based off having a Myles Garrett or somebody like that coming off the edge.
Okay.
So Von Miller, obviously he's out right now, but if you have a guy like that, as a cornerback, I can take more calculated risks. So it's kind of it's a give and take, man. We let them get their credit. We get ours. We're not divas. We're not prima donnas like the receivers. So it's a team game, man. As long as we get the job done.
I do believe that is a pretty hilarious sentiment because DBs have to have a confidence level that is sky high, like have to be, like damn near arrogant, have to be there because you are on an island. You don't know what the other person's doing. You have to react. You have to be the best athlete on the field. But you don't have that kind of, I'm sure there are some, but the wide receiver is very diva-ish. That's like, hey, you need to get them the ball. Like even commentators like, this is the type of wide receiver that you have to get them the ball earlier or kind of check out of it. Corners don't have that. Kind of a dog mentality out of the corners just with an insane amount of confidence and arrogance almost.
Yeah, it's a very unforgiving position, and everybody's an expert on your position as well. Because when you get beat, you're going to be on there. That camera's going to be on you. It's not going to say, oh, the D-line, gave him extra time, or he let Pat Mahomes break the pocket. They're just going to show over and over and over the clip of you getting beat. So it's definitely a tough position, and sometimes, you can, as a corner, you can have 55 great plays, but if you got 3 or 4 bad ones, everybody's calling for your head. So it's definitely a tough position, and but that's a real thing with those receivers, man. And some guys who, if you don't get them the ball early, you don't get them involved early, mentally they're just out of it. You saw the clip. I don't know if you saw it with Baker Mayfield. He threw a touchdown to another guy. And he jogged over to like Beckham and Landry, like, hey, guys, just be patient. Because you kind of know once those guys kind of get out of there, it's like, all right, we're not involved in the game plan, this, that, and the third, and other things start to, creep into that locker room. But definitely a tough position for that quarterback to keep everybody happy. But screw those receivers, man. I can give 2 shit.
Good, dude.
DB, we know you're a big all-22 film guy studying the tape. Have you had a chance to look at the Seattle Seahawks secondary? Because I think they're giving up like 400 yards a game, and it feels like if Russ doesn't throw for 5 touchdowns, they're gonna lose some games. Have you had a chance to study that film and see if their problems are fixable and what's going on there?
Yeah, I have, but that kind of goes back to what we were talking about. It's the pass rush. The best pass rusher on their team is in the secondary with Jamal Adams. So I don't care how good you are as a secondary. And it's not like they have, a ton of talent back there. They're definitely a talented secondary, but they're not good enough to stop guys without a pass rush. And that's most secondaries. You need that in the NFL. You need to, harass that passer and not let him be comfortable. And even, have him seeing ghosts sometimes. But you're not going to be seeing ghosts against a pass rush that's not getting after you. And Russ has kind of been covering up a lot of their shortcomings on the defense side of the ball. But they got to figure it out, man. They got to figure it out. They have the talent, I do believe, back there on the back end, but they got to figure it out, man.
D-But, switching gears here a little bit, you are a massive Miami Heat fan. Are you worried at all how badly they got their asses beat?
Hey, that might be a sweep. Hey, get the broom out down there.
Oh, no. I'm not worried, man.
Oh,
I was over there, I was packing my bags at first, and then I saw that they shot the camera to Jim, and he was over there like, you know what? All right. And I was feeling the same way, man. We got to figure it out. Now, game 2, if they come out and looks anything like that, I'm going to be worried. But Lakers shot lights out, man. They got the 2 best players on the court. I came into it knowing we would need a heroic effort out of our squad, to grow up fast. And it's not looking good right now. But I got faith, man. 4-game series.
Hey, that was a little poetic there with heroic. It's
hero. Well, no, hero's got to grow up too, man. Because he's got to grow up, man. He's got to. Duncan Robinson, all those guys got to grow up. This is their first finals appearance. And I know they're out there kind of like, damn, we're on the finals, Bron, AD, and it kind of looked like little deer in headlights for those guys. But I got faith in Miami, man. I got faith in them.
I don't like I'm not a big basketball guy, but I do know that when LeBron cares, it seems like he wins.
Yeah.
And you can tell on the internet whenever a photo of him like mean mugging or whatever comes out, they're like LeBron mode is activated or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it feels like he should do that every fucking night, maybe, but that's probably a bit exhausting. But if I'm LeBron,
especially in that old.
Yeah, exactly. If you're LeBron though, and you're Anthony Davis, and you have 3 more games to get out of the bubble. I mean, that feels like LeBron mode's probably going to be activated.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, and that is not good for your Flame team down there.
It's not good at all. And I felt like coming into it, having Spoelstra, who kind of obviously knows LeBron. LeBron became a champion under Spo and Pat Riley. I thought that would help. But like you said, LeBron's focused, motivated, and something LeBron did right before halftime yesterday. It didn't count. He caught like a reverse windmill off the rim. Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of sending a message that, because that's something you see, even if it doesn't count. If you're on that court, if you're on the sideline, like you see that shit. That's the motherfucker we got to deal with for the next few games. So he's sending a message. He looks healthy. He looks energized. And if the Lakers team is playing good, nobody's beating that team.
Yeah, I agree. Probably 3 more games.
It's over. It was good. Hey, good season.
Hey, good
season.
Great face coffee. I'm gonna buy some big face coffee when it becomes available. I mean, I'm a big Tyler Hero. I didn't even know that guy existed. Now they're showing his high school highlights like every single day on the internet. That dude was a savage.
Awesome.
Has been a savage for a long time. He's got to be happy that they got a team going forward. But LeBron just bought a $36 million house in Beverly Hills. They'll probably have furniture in that thing within the next fucking 3 days.
Yeah, at least.
I mean, he is trying to get out of there.
He's ready to get back. Those guys are ready to leave Disney World, get back to South Beach. So it might. I got faith though. I'll tell you that much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the host of the Man to Man podcast, big Miami Heat fan. What a run! What a run! This has been awesome. And a man who told us to hammer the over on Ripon. Hammer the who?
Yep.
Ripon.
You got
Rip. He will be ripping.
Who knows?
Starting NFL quarterback, Denver Broncos, Ripon hammer the over 204.5 yards passed for tonight, and the under for Sam Darnold is like 240 or something like that.
225.
225. Yeah.
225. Here we go. Those are 2 bets. We can't wait to see how they do. We can't thank you enough, ladies and gentlemen. Darius Butler.
Thank you,
Darius.
fellas.
Yeah, thank you, man. He breaks down so much stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I legitimately get better as a football talking person whenever he comes on the show.
Yeah, like that Mitch tape he was talking about that he ran through yesterday. It was very awesome to watch.
Yeah, because the accuracy thing is that's why I think I could have been an NFL quarterback, by the way.
Yeah,
backup NFL quarterback.
If Mike Leach was your coach in college, you're for 800 yards a game.
That dude threw for 500 yards or
And
something.
he stunk at Stanford. So
And he's done that before. Everywhere you go with Mike Leach, it's like, hey, this guy, if you get in his offense, you're going to lead the league in everything. Yeah, and the fact that it's working in the SEC will be interesting. Will he be able to continue to do that? Because they say it can't happen because it takes a little time to develop, and the SEC defensive lines are so freakish that your quarterback isn't going to be able to have time to figure it out. But Mike Leach is down there like, hey, we're a bunch of pirates down here, okay? That's what we're doing. Bigfoot might be right over the hill over there in Mississippi State. We're going to do this thing. We're going to go nuts. What do you got, Diggs?
I was going to ask a stupid question about pedigree because Ripon's uncle was Super Bowl MVP. He's won a couple Super Bowls. Like, does that? You think him like talking to him does anything for him in the NFL?
I think growing up it helped Patrick Mahomes, right? And it's not even in football. Growing up and understanding like the dedication that it probably takes, like seeing what his uncle had to go through and do, the fallout effects, how you deal with things that are happening off the field, not just on the field. I think that is quite an advantage. I think that is quite an advantage.
It's in his blood.
Thursday, October 1st, 2020. Our poll of the day from our friend at Viva Lazito is:
Who's winning the Mega Bowl tonight? Jets or Broncos? Jets is at 23.7%. Broncos is at 76.3%.
That kind of scares me a little bit. Kind of scares me a little bit. But I haven't officially picked who I'm going to bet on, I guess.
Really?
I haven't put my bet in yet.
Really?
What the Jets are getting significant. What are they getting?
1.5.
No, the Jets are favored.
Yes.
What?
What?
Yes.
It opened as 2.5. Jets being the dogs, but it has moved now to Jets -1.5.
So I haven't seen. I only saw it whenever it opened. The Jets Man.
Hammer the Broncos.
Oh, man. That was somebody early trying to move the line, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was potential some shop out there trying to move the line a little
What's
bit.
Walters doing?
65% of the money is on the Jets.
Yeah, see, that feels like, I want you, bub.
Feels good.
Let's go to Colton in Canada. Colton, what's going on? We had a big Canada conversation right before we went on the air. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Hey, I got steamrolled there by Boston Connor last week when I tried calling in, but we'll move on from that.
What'd you do? What happened?
Quick thing there. If you guys ever find yourself north of the border, let me know, and I'll fire up some wild boar on the smoker. Make some meat.
Sounds good.
Hey, very nice of you there, pal. We've never got that offer from any other Canadians we know.
Connor can even come, even though he took a dump on me there last week.
He took a dump on a guy there. Hey, what part of Canada do we got to go north of the border to there for the wild boar on the steamer there, pal?
Tisdale, Saskatchewan.
Oh, Saskatchewan!
Rough Riders.
Oh, Rough Riders.
About 27 clicks to Saskatoon.
Oh, in
Manitoba.
What do you want to talk about?
It's called the land of rape and honey, but they don't like that anymore.
Jesus,
Dude,
Christ.
no wonder I dumped on this guy.
Why is Canada? Why do you got to do that?
Jeez, Colton.
It must be because the Vikings.
So I heard you talk about UFOs on the show yesterday.
Just go on past it.
All right, Colton, thanks for the call, man.
That
was a good call. I feel like that was a good call.
Yeah, you mentioned UFOs, too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Let's go to EMAC in San Francisco. What's going on, EMAC?
Oh, I do an EMAC.
What's up, Pat? It's a DMAC with a D, but I don't expect better spelling on a bit.
Yeah.
D-Mac.
Fair.
Thanks for having me on the show. I want to say, you're fans of the McAfee Mafia. Does that make you the Godfather, Don Pat McAfee?
It does.
I didn't even think about
In
that.
fact.
You come to my house.
I need a pinky ring.
Bad.
Now that I think about it.
And a cane.
Am I Italian then? I am.
Well, you are. Yeah.
0.09%.
0.09, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I am the Don Dog, aren't I?
The Godfather.
Yep. Grazie. Hey, ciao. Hey.
Bella.
I'll make you something
And
you
then
can't
want to talk
confuse.
about the second coming of Big Nick is here, and he plays for the San Francisco 49ers. What have you seen from Nick Mullins, and what do you like him?
Nick Mullins, not just good this year, by the way. He's been good.
Yeah.
And they were
Gunslinger.
36-9 or whatever. They beat the dog shit out of the Giants. But even in the past, before Jimmy G got on there, I think Nick Mullins, good football player.
Yeah. And when Jimmy G got hurt.
And also, Kyle Shanahan.
Good play.
Very good play designer.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of people are going to succeed there. So I was very surprised at the dominant performance by the Niners over the Giants when they had their entire roster out due to injury. I legitimately thought. Okay, I thought that was the one the Giants would steal. Like, Giants were going to win here. You know, Danny Dimes, Joe Judge are building a culture. Yeah. They'll have a moment. Hey, this team's hurt. Let's go ahead and do this thing. Let's go in there and get it. And instead, complete opposite happened.
Yeah.
It was like one of those, it was like the fourth quarter of the fourth preseason game. It was a bunch of guys on the field that knew they probably weren't going to ever get on the field again. Let's go ahead and here and try to play as good as we possibly can. And they just boat raced the Giants. Mm-hmm. And that one Giants money line, on a couple of my parlays, really kicked me in the taint. I mean, heavily taint kicked because of that.
Steel boot.
Yeah, it did feel like a steel boot from Steel Mill, which we started the show with. Let's go to Brandon over there in the land, Cleveland.
Hey, Pat, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you, bub?
Good. Hey, first off, T's and P's to the players of the personnel for Tennessee Titans, but they're lucky they didn't run into the bus on the Pittsburgh Steelers this week.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. I understand that Derrick Henry has been running over people, racking up thousands.
Oh, 8,000. Oh, you didn't see Brandon
build it up.
Brandon, no, that's not on us, Brandon.
Jesus.
Brandon, you got to build that up coming in. I appreciate you, though. Big Steelers fan in Cleveland. Did not expect that. Let's go to Chad in California. Chad, what's going on?
Look at here, Chad.
What's up, boys? Man, I'm ready for the Suck Bowl tonight, baby. Broncos on primetime TV.
Yeah, let's go.
Dude. Make 'em.
I got to give a quick shout-out to my guy Diggs for the expert fantasy advice. Helped me get the W this week.
Let's go. Fantasy tone. I completely forgot about that.
And I'm looking, I think my Broncos, man, we're at a point where I get that Elway jersey and I get some duct tape and a Sharpie, and I just start listing all the quarterbacks we've had since him, man. And basically what I'm looking at now is I think if we can't beat the goddamn Jets tonight, we just lose out, man, and go for Trevor.
All right. They want to get into the Trevor Lawrence Bowl, which is what Mark Schlereth called this game tonight. A lot of teams could lose a lot of games, and the Jets and the Broncos are definitely one of them. We'll talk more about that on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, October 1st. Jesus.
Yeah.
So.
I thought there was a chance that it was October 30th. Like, I thought in my head it was October 30th there for a second. I was like real excited.
Holy shit.
Halloween
tomorrow.
We can do Halloween every day.
What are they going to do with Halloween, by the way?
It's a dead
It's gonna be
holiday.
awesome.
It's canceled.
Yeah, no, a lot of candy just left outside, I think.
Halloween's canceled?
No.
You can't go trick or treat.
No, but
pandemic.
Maybe trick or treating might be, but the holiday can't be canceled.
No, they'll put buckets of candy out front, and you got to be first.
Now, listen. If you praise the Lord, you've been waiting for the day that Halloween disappears, that Halloween is no more.
Amen, brother.
Because Halloween is once referred to as Hallows Eve, I believe.
Go ahead, preach it now.
Which is a Satan-worshiping operation. And the devil dove into the children and into the families with the costumes and the candy. That's why Halloween is bad for the Lord.
Amen, brother.
Amen.
I went to a Catholic college.
Trick or treat. How about Jesus?
Do it again.
Treat yourself to Jesus.
I'll take option 3, which is the baptized of my body and soul.
Please.
Bam.
I don't need Reese's, and I don't want your kid-sized bullshit. I want the mega-sized Jesus shoved inside of me. Halloween shouldn't be about the candy. Halloween shouldn't be about the trick or the treat. Halloween should be about me getting to know my Lord and Savior who walked out of that cave like pow bitch and saved my soul. I don't know if any of that is true, but
I do know this for a fact. I went to a Catholic college, and there is a holiday the day after Halloween. It's called All Saints Day. I only know this because we got off it every year. I believe it's probably to get rid of the devil from Halloween.
Well, that's why you got to say bless you when you fucking sneeze, because whenever you sneeze, the devil sneaks in with whatever came out the other side.
And I don't think you're too far off, because I wouldn't be surprised if Roethlisberger gave that exact same speech to his kids.
All right, we got to get to a break. We'll be back in a few minutes. That's unbelievable. You know what? Roethlisberger did not deserve that.
Well, he's not wrong for it.
Yeah,
He's not wrong.
he's teaching his kids.
In the name of the football god. Amen.
Amen.
Tone Diggs is the host. Michael Lombardi, former GM, is on there. And then it's me and Gumpy, okay? And me and Gumpy sit on the desk next to each other. And I think we're the only ones with a winning record at this point.
Well, that's not true.
Clean
but
it up.
you do.
I mean, the only guys that had the balls to make a pick on Monday night.
Bingo. Whoa. I just want to say this. Me and Gumpy are a tag team in this gambling road right now, and we are hot, AJ. AJ, we are hot right now.
Before we get into the actual on-ice stuff, some quick little breaking news off ice. Big news, actually. Come on, guys, quick. Let's give a round of applause to Goldberg. He's back. Goldberg's back. He's off the meth. Sean Weiss, 230 days sober. Remember that viral mugshot that went all over the internet earlier this year? He's got new teeth. He's healthy. He's gained some weight back. And 230 days sober, that's a big deal. Good to have Goldberg back.
It's unbelievable. Let's go, Goldberg. I am pumped to see him because, man, he did not look good there for a minute. He was starting to wither away to nothing. He had a heck of a tan, though. I mean, an unbelievable tan. But, man, I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he gained some weight back. I'm glad he's got new teeth. Maybe we get a D, what are we on, D4, D5? Is that where we're up next?
They got a new series coming to Disney Plus, so maybe we get a cameo from him because they obviously did not cast him because of said meth. And I wrote him off. I thought he was minutes away from death. He looked like a corpse, but he's back.
McAfee Show.
There will be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Darn it. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here. Thursday, October 1st, 2020. Hour 2 begins right now. Big thanks to Twine for that incredible beat drop. Hour 1 saw us talking to Darius Butler, 9-year defensive back in the NFL, host of the Man to Man podcast. And he broke down why I think Sam Darnold's going to go under 225 yards passing tonight and why Ripien, the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, is going to go over 204.5 yards this evening. That type of information is something that we should definitely take to the bank. And by the bank, I mean we should go ahead and break and bankrupt FanDuel with that type of information. He's been 2-0. He could go 4-0 after tonight, and we might have cracked the code on the old gambling. What is a lock? This seems to be a lock thus far. Hopefully that'll continue. Obviously tonight, Thursday Night Football on the NFL Network, while Joe Buck and Troy Aikman commentate overhead. Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, Hall of Famer Joe Buck commentate over. We have the Mega Bowl. We have the Suck Bowl. We have the who is going to win a game and potentially never win again bowl tonight in Denver. Or New York. Where's the game at?
New York.
See? Two different answers.
I did check. I believe it is at MetLife.
In the way that thing's set up, it looks like it's Denver at New York Jets right there, if I had to guess.
Loser gets fired.
By the way, how's the field going to be? Nobody knows. There's been some question marks revolving around that. Hey, could Adam Gase, could this be the last game of him leading the Gangrene Nation or whatever the hell they're called? Or is this the start of the Adam Gase, Sam Darnold success run at the New York Jets organization?
Nope.
I mean, all those things and more we find out tonight. I am pumped to watch it. I'm excited to watch it. Just because it's NFL football is why I'm excited to watch it. But I do believe if you're Jeff Bezos, you got to be about fed up with these fucking matchups you got on your Amazon little thing on Thursday night. Or if you're on NFL Network, you're going to be like, what's going on? We had Jacksonville, Miami. Was a great game last week.
Incredible game.
Tough to hype up, though. I mean, believe me, we've been trying here for an hour and 4 minutes now to hype up this game. And the only way we've been able to figure out how to hype up the game is, hey, let's find out who's going to suck more tonight.
The stakes have never been higher here, boys. The loser doesn't have a job on Friday.
We don't know if that's true or not. I think Fangio will be okay for at least another couple of days because they have a lot of injuries over there. Old Gase over there, though. I think there's be good. It is going to be deafening tomorrow if they lose to this Broncos team with a quarterback with no name. And the Jets media, the New York media, I do believe is a savage and ruthless one, and they have completely turned against Gase at this point.
I think isn't Fangio probably safe too because it's the second year and they have had a lot of injuries in both years. That normally saves you a little bit.
I guess, yeah. Injuries are normally something that you can look at and say like, well, this guy's kind of hamstringed by hamstrings. And that would be something you could say about. But you look back at his situational management or awareness there. It's been tough. It hasn't been go. And I don't know how players feel about him. I don't know how other coaches feel about him. I haven't looked into it enough. I guess I should. But if you talk to Schlereth yesterday, Schlereth is like all out on that team, basically. He's like, his team stinks.
Also, if you're in like the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes potentially and you already have Drew Lock, don't you want to maybe shake-hand the guy who's defensive minded and get one of these like young guys who's like a quarterback guru so you don't end up in the same position and just have
Drew Lock getting hurt was a problematic thing. But by the way, Thursday Night Football is not the only thing that's happening in the sports world. There's a lot more, and that's why we always have a sidebar for the Steelers and Titans have officially been postponed. That game has been moved from not Sunday to Monday, which was announced yesterday, which was going to be broadcasted nationally on CBS. It has now been moved to further along in this season. Everybody seems to think that the Steelers and Titans will play instead of this week. The Steelers and Titans will take their bye week this week. The Titans have a bye week, week 7. The Steelers have a bye week, week 8 originally scheduled. So what they're thinking happens here is, boom, let's go ahead and have the Steelers play the Ravens. Or no, let's move the Ravens Ravens Steelers games to week 8 instead of the Steelers having a bye week then. And let's move the Steelers Titans to week 7 because that's when the Titans are supposed to have their bye week. Steelers Titans week 7, Steelers Ravens week 8. Got a bye week in the 4th week of the season for both Steelers and Titans. It doesn't matter what COVID does. We'll be able to figure it out. That seems to be the right move, which everybody is kind of leaning towards. We talked about it yesterday. But that Monday Night Football CBS game would have been awesome to watch. I don't know how that would have went. But the reason why they're moving it is because yet another positive has come out of the Tennessee Titans organization today. They're probably assuming another one's going to come. And the no practice thing, even though they said they do not care about competitive fairness in the world that we're currently in, whether it's fans being in the stands, people being able to get through a season, losing some people. Hey, we're doing what we got to do to get through the season. Now they are saying we should postpone this thing because who knows how fair it actually is in a league that revolves around parity, allegedly. You would have to have some fairness.
Yeah, and getting the Ravens getting a bye after the Ravens would have been nice. And now playing the Ravens after a bye is probably going to be tough after you play a team like the Tennessee Titans who like to ram it down your throat. And probably going to be a little sore after that one.
And we do have some statements coming out from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin just had a press conference, and they asked him about now having to play 13 straight games because his bye week has moved from week 8 to week 4. And Mike Tomlin, to quote, says, "We do not care."
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, Mike Tomlin doesn't have to hit anybody, obviously, but Mike Tomlin is this type of coach. Nobody talks about Mike Tomlin enough, by the way. He is a guy who wins a lot of games, and whenever it goes wrong just a little bit, everybody's calling for him to get fired. He wins games with bad teams. He wins games with good teams. Mike Tomlin is a great football coach, and he is a no bullshit, no nonsense coach, and it doesn't get talked about a lot. He does not care about anything that's going on. He cares about football. That is all Mike Tomlin cares about. He loves the city of Pittsburgh. He goes out to Penguins games. I see him in town whenever I go out. He is a guy, though, that is only focused on football. You keep all the other bullshit out of this building. We do not care. We are playing football. And whenever he is asked to give a quote about something, he's always very intelligent with what he says, and he's always along the same exact lines, which is, I do not care. Just like he just said here, we do not care. He's your classic football guy. If we're going to play in a parking lot, we'll play in a parking lot. If we got to do this, we'll do this. If you want us to do this, we'll do this. We do not care. We just want to play ball. That's why Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin have had so much success together. And it's also why I think people should talk about Tomlin a little bit more, because the guy's been consistent as hell, and he's a savage. Mike Tomlin is an absolute savage, and I enjoy the hell out of him.
As far as coaches that this could happen to, Vrabel and Tomlin are up near the top that will handle it best. But yeah, the only knock on Tomlin is, we've talked about this with defensive coaches before, is potentially sometimes game situations get a little out of control.
Whoa, Tony.
I think his sideline attire is top 3 in the league.
Great.
Unbelievable.
Top 3 in the league, okay? He always looks incredible.
Aviators on point.
Very comfortable. He swags a little bit during the games, which I appreciate. He daps people up. He gets in there, and he just loves the football. I don't know the situational awareness. I guess I don't follow along as much as possible. Does he fuck those up?
Every once in a while, but like it's amplified when he does it for some reason. I mean, the guy's never had a losing season in however long he's been there. Like, I mean, that's pretty good.
I'd say his Super Bowl.
Not bad.
That's pretty good. I mean, the guy, and he's had to deal with, by the way. Now, hindsight, we know.
A lot of.
Now, hindsight, we know with people who have been in that locker room or no longer in that locker room, he was potentially going against something that, 3 other places could not handle or do. So, I mean, he is a guy that doesn't get enough credit. But you're right. Him and Vrabel, same exact dudes. Like, okay, we just got to show we got to walk through and we'll play. You would never hear them even back down from that type of thing.
But that one time he stepped 6 inches onto the field and almost got in the way of Jacoby Jones, people act like he took a crowbar to his knee on the sideline.
He did do that on purpose, though, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very obvious.
You want your coach to do.
And by the way, I think in the locker room, they're like, did you see fucking T?
And Tomlin's had to deal with 2 of the most revolutionary quarterbacks in the past 20 years with Lamar Jackson and Footsteps Flacco.
And the AFC North is a problematic place, though.
Yeah.
Aside from your point about Joe Flacco, who has won a Super Bowl.
Footsteps, he's surgical in the playoffs.
But the AFC North is not like exactly a fun place to coach for 15 years. I mean, is that how long he's been there?
I'll check.
That sounds like a stat. That's a long ass time.
4?
Tomlin, also the reason I got in the NFL.
607, I think.
I'm on.
I'm not doing the math because I don't even know if I count that year. Or, so it's like,
Definitely 2007.
So it's
2007.
So it's 14 years then, right? Because 2020 minus 2007 would be 13,
Yes.
you see. But then you have to add it because you're counting that season.
Bingo. Right.
So it's 14. He's been there, never had a losing season and a Super Bowl. Good for him. I'm a big Mike Tomlin guy.
This worked out the best for the Titans, right? Because they get a week out of the facility. They actually get to like relax at home, even though like obviously the COVID testing is bad. Like this worked for them.
Hey, listen, we talked to a guy yesterday from California. He said that he got the COVID and he's still recovering for 2 or 3 weeks
Absolutely.
later.
Yeah. Hey,
So you don't even know, dude. You don't even know.
But as
dude.
far as like a
Are you
mental,
saying
That's actually really irresponsible.
Why would you do that? That is very irresponsible for you to say that somehow the Titans won in this entire thing.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Wow,
but
you
it
are
sure feels like the COVID benefited the Titans more than anything.
We'll find out 10 years from now.
Yeah,
Let's go to Nick in New York. What's going on, Nick?
Yo, what's up, Pat? 2 things. First of all, Mitt, what a bro. Great guy. He's so calm and polite on that phone.
Are you his uncle?
Like he's no. Sounds like he's on the beach with some vitamins.
Yeah, he's sitting on the
I was
moon.
almost,
That's why.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
was a little starstruck, I got to be honest with you.
With Mitt?
Yeah, he's a real celebrity in the world.
All right, Nick. Great call.
you're
Thank
his
you.
cousin.
Let's go to Tony in Las Vegas. What's going on, Tony?
Mitt, stop telling people what to say.
What up, Pat? How's it going, man?
Not too bad, Tony. Hold on one second, Tony. Not a bad call there for Mitt's reputation.
No, not at all.
A lot of people call in here and talk about how stupid that kid is.
True.
Yeah.
That guy was like complete opposite. Not stupid, kind of chill, very nice conversation. Good for Mitt there. With
Yeah,
that.
but if Mitt's
Mitt.
dad wants to call in, can't he just call you?
Mitt's dad will never call into this show. I know.
Nor defend Mitt.
Nor, yeah, none of that. Let's go to Tony in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, Tony. What do you want to talk about, brother?
All good, man. Just to add to that, Mitt's a great guy, but shout out to the boys. Hope you guys are all doing well. Shout out to Mrs. McAfee for the brand and Mad Dog Sports.
Okay, there we go. All of them. By the way, Tim and Sally, they had sex at one point and created me.
Yeah. But I wanted to talk about the Niners, man. I know I'm in Vegas, but I grew up in the Bay, and the Niners are my squad. I still think with our practice squads, C's and D's, 4th and 5th string guys we got out there, we're still better than like half the teams out there. What do you guys think?
Well, and that's the thing about having a great coach, right? In Lynch, obviously, good talent evaluator, put a team together, got him to the Super Bowl very quickly. It's one of those things where when you have a coach that can outcoach the other coach, you're going to win games. That's why I thought very early on that there was no way that Bill Belichick doesn't win 10 games, just because Bill Belichick is going to win you at least 3 to 4 games. And then you would assume that your players will win you at least 6, hopefully, if you're not just absolutely terrible. So I think if you have a great coach, it can really help you. But the problem is there's a lot of bad coaches out there. So whenever you see these good coaches just take advantage of those coaches, it doesn't happen as often as it should because there's only a few coaches that can really do that. A lot of times you got a couple stooges battling against each other. And maybe they're not stooges, maybe they're good coaches. But in the NFL, there's just a different level of coaching. And whenever you see some people just always seem to win games. Always. It's like, how are they doing it? Nobody knows. Like the 49ers, for instance. Joe Judge, I assume he's going to be a good coach. I have no idea. He got hired to be a head coach, and he comes from the New England Patriot coaching tree. So it's assuming he's a good coach at one point. I assume they're going to be a good team at some point. But Shanahan had his 4th preseason game, 4th quarter players in the game against them. They were on the road for 2 weeks in New York, not even at home. And Shanahan had Nick Mullins look like an absolute fucking superstar. 36-9, they beat the dog shit out of the Giants. And Danny Dimes last year won a couple games all by himself, right? Danny Dimes for a team. I thought this was a chance. Kyle Shanahan deserves a lot of credit. The players that's got a chance to play that have either bought in or played great football, they deserve a lot of credit. Lynch deserves a lot of credit. I think if you're a 49ers fan, you had to live through a lot of shit. I mean, a lot of shit for a while there. And now, granted, you had a Super Bowl run with Kaepernick. You lose to Footsteps Flacco. Yeah. But the 49ers faithful, I think, is lucky because those two just got locked in, I think, for another 5-10 years as well. And Shanahan and Lynch. And Kittle, I think, is locked in there. So,
Jimmy G.
I mean, they're going to have a run there for a while. But when you have a great coach, it really, really, really helps. I mean, it is next level type stuff.
It's impressive because, like, and they have no weapons. Like, they last year, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders and Deebo Samuel, but, like, they do this, and Kittle, I guess, but they do this, like, his offense works no matter who's in there, I think.
Yeah.
It's probably a running team.
And then it seems like it doesn't work, like in one particular situation.
Oh. When the lights
Well,
are brightest.
when you overthrow a guy by 10 yards. Yeah,
Oh my God, that one overthrow by Jimmy G in the Super Bowl led to a Tom Brady potential going to the Niners. It led to an entire thing just because that one overthrow. And Kyle Shanahan, 28-3, and that overthrow.
Yeah.
He's lost 2 Super Bowls that he's had to lead, and he'll win one at some point, we assume.
Will he?
Or will he? Because Patrick Mahomes and a Chief. Mahomes and a Chief. I don't know.
Russ Wilson in the same division.
By the way, my rookie year, we cakewalked into the Super Bowl. I mean, we didn't lose until we chose to lose, and I was just on the team. Believe me, I was no parts of any of that. I was just a person that was a segue to the next part of the game. Like, I'm going to come in, and what's the next part of the game? But we got to the Super Bowl in my rookie year, and I was like, oh, we'll be back here, no problem at all. I still have yet to be back in the Super Bowl.
Falcons haven't sniffed it since Shanahan left.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the Niners, he's a very, very, very good coach. Very, very good coach.
yeah.
But will he be able to manage to get back to the Super Bowl again? I assume that's all he thinks about when he goes to bed. He wakes up in the morning because of the Falcons, because of the Niners situation. And I would assume, yes, because he's that good of a coach, he'll be able to win games and get you there. But until he wins one, I couldn't even fathom the conversation that's going on in his head whenever he lays down at night. It has to be just like, these motherfuckers, we got to get one. Because if not, I'm going to think about this 28-3 game. I'm going to think about this Jimmy G overthrow for the rest of my life, and I'm just not going to do that.
And you look around the division, too, young quarterbacks. I mean, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, and obviously the Russell Wilson. It's tough sledding in the NFC West.
All right, so let's look at the coaching staff over there. Cliff Kingsbury, seems like he's figuring it out.
Yeah.
Enough, I don't know. Is Kyler Murray going to be consistently great? I don't know. We'll find out.
Yep.
He's great. Will he be consistently great, which is what takes people to the next level? We shall see. This past weekend, didn't have his best game, but the first 2 weeks was electrifying. Then you look at McVay and Goff. Seems like they figured it out a little bit. We talked to Mark Schlereth yesterday. He said McVay forgot how to coach football last year, and everybody said he was dead in the water. It's amazing what you do whenever you get a little bit of protection in the offensive line and a little bit of more space. And then you look up at Pete Carroll. They got Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson's going to be able to keep you in games for however long. But they've given up how many yards? 400 yards every game?
I think so. Let me make sure.
400 yards passing every single game. Like, that's going to be tough. So if you are a Niners fan, you got a lot of young upstart. Other than Pete Carroll, you got a lot of young coaches that are going to be around for a long time with their quarterbacks that they're going to grow with. And you just got to hope that you and Jimmy G can remain on top of that thing, because that NFC West is going to be awesome to watch for a long time.
They just need to tread water this year a little bit. Like, yeah, their defense is going to be banged up big time, but like they're going to get some of those guys back on offense too. And like you said, that's not really sustainable for Seattle. Like, Russell Wilson is going to have to throw maybe 5-6 touchdowns every week, and he might.
He might. Hey, that son of a bitch might do. He might be Mr. Unlimited on the amount of games where he can throw 5-6 touchdowns, because it seems like it's going to have to be that way. What's up, Dave?
They've given up 434, 397, 461 yards.
Also, if you share some yards with the 397 there from for other two
basically
games.
500 yards a game in total offense.
That is unbelievable. That's sustainable.
Kinda.
No.
For the night?
That is problematic, by the way.
Yeah.
That is one of those things where people say that winning cures all. Like, winning cures all, because we're not even talking about that right now. If they start losing games, there's going to be like, oh, has Russell lost it? And also, we should take a look at the defensive side of the ball. Maybe they have played poorly. Oh, we got a Gumpy nuke, I think, here. Oh,
Does that just show how much of a difference maker Jadeveon Clowney is?
Because he wanted to be a Seahawk, allegedly. They didn't sign him back. He goes to the Titans now. Now, I don't know how he's been playing for the Titans, but they've been winning some games. The Seahawks, though, if they didn't have Jamal Adams, would they have a single playmaker out there? That is the real question.
D-Butt brought up that they're not getting pressure. I just looked up. They are 28th in sack percentage, so it's not great.
By the way, you took a shot at the secondary of the Seattle Seahawks, and he very quickly said, excuse me.
Easy, dude.
Why don't we fucking take a little peeksy up there at the D-line, huh? They work on a string, okay? They do good, we do good. You see that? They do good.
That's why I asked.
We do good.
Two sides of the wheel.
Because I ain't watching the tape.
You should.
Two sides of the wheel.
Think about that.
Two sides of the wheel. Ponder that. Yep. We got to get to a break. A legend joins us on the other side, and I don't say that lightly. Jared Allen. Yeah! We'll talk to him about that Seattle Seahawks defensive line not getting any pressure.
Hell yeah.
Talk to him about football. What the hell he's doing. He went to Idaho State.
Oh, yeah, potatoes.
Probably a lot of those.
Go potatoes. No, they're not the Idaho State potatoes.
I think so. I don't know.
Not 100% sure, but I do know they created a man who's a legend in the defensive line world.
Space Cowboy.
His mullet was unbelievable. His celebration was magnetic. In his ride-off retirement into the sunset on a horse is memorable forever. Ladies and gentlemen, Jared Allen joins us on the other side. Go take a leak. We'll see you then. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, October 1st. Well, hello, sensual piano keys. You sound incredibly inspirational and motivational. Big announcement coming from our company. You know, throughout my entire life, I've made decisions that people have said, ooh, that is stupid. You've read about them, you heard about them. When I was in high school, I went to an underground poker game, won $1,400, flew myself down to Miami, won a kicking contest, and got a scholarship to West Virginia the next day. I turned my back on soccer that day. Everybody said, you're an idiot. Why are you doing that? You have more schools looking at you for soccer than you do for football. What are you thinking? Fast forward 8 years with the Indianapolis Colts, and I was on top of the world, top of the mountain. How's the view? Not too shabby. And when I was at the top of my game, I decided, you know what? I'm going to pursue some other stuff. My friends and I are going to go to work on the internet. We're going to try to chase fulfillment as opposed to just a paycheck. And there were some interesting responses from people of power in the sporting world.
Make them tear the uniform off of you. Sure. Look, somebody needs to stage an intervention. People who know this guy, get to him now. Make him put his helmet back on and get to camp.
Oh, no, there's no intervention, Wilbon. No, no, no. Here we are 3 years after that date, and it's a celebration, bitches. Cut the music. Let's hand out some bags to the boys. For the boys. For the boys. Oh, by the way, that's for you, brother.
Oh my God.
Are you home? All right, come up front door.
What's up, dude?
What's this?
Oh, you son of a bitch.
What the fuck? Fuck you. Oh, yeah, that is the bag of money.
FanDuel deal went through. There's $50,000 in it. Here's a backpack with $50,000 in it. $50,000 in it. Oh my God. Yes, there's $50,000 in there. Yes, there's $50,000.
Are you fucking serious?
Let's go.
You brought it back?
Oh man. Let's go, dude. Let's go. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yo, this is...
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, dude.
We did it?
Couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, thank you. Dude, it's a fuck ton of money. You guys,
When I asked Dan Patrick for some advice, he told me always take care of the boys.
And you should know those people that are there with you, that their value cannot be overstated and should not be overstated.
So Mike Wilbon, they didn't hold my jersey on me. They didn't hold my helmet on me. We didn't have an intervention. What we have is a celebration, because when you bet on yourself, sometimes you hit for big. And for us, the only place we'll bet for the next couple years in an exclusive deal, FanDuel backed the Brinks truck up to our office, and we have never been more thankful, more excited, and more together as we promote the greatest sports book on planet Earth.
This is the Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. The guy in our ear stinks.
Come on. Where's Joel?
Yes, some nerve.
I don't know who that guy is, but he stinks.
We want Joel.
What's his name? Colin?
It's our guy Colin again.
Oh, this guy stinks.
Hey, Colin.
Remember, he'll tell us, though, it's all fine. It's like, well, is it? Because the wheel is a two-way thing.
Hey.
Both sides of the wheel.
Two sides of the wheel.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Thursday, October 1st, 2020. We're being joined by a man that went to Idaho State. Yes, he was a Bengal. Ooh. The Idaho State Bengals. Then he was drafted to the Chiefs. Then he became an absolute legend at the Vikings. Had to stop at the Bears, and then he played in the Super Bowl for the Carolina Panthers. Then his retirement video is still talked about today as being one of the most legendary, iconic horse riding videos in the history of horses. Ever. You see him hog tie them sons of bitches whenever he got a sack. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best mullets in the history of sports. A man who has an NFL record, 4 safeties under his belt. One of them being against Dan Orlovsky, who's sprinting across the back of the end zone. Ladies and gentlemen, Pro Bowl All-Pro superstar Jared Allen. How's it going, man?
What's up, fellas?
Do you still have the mullet, or did you cut that thing off?
Hold on. You'll see this coming up back here.
Nice.
Okay, we're gonna go here. The only rule now is I can't let it go shoulder length. You know, I got to keep it manageable and somewhat respectable.
What's that? Just because everyday life they don't respect the mullet as much as over there in the professional sports world?
No, it's because I have 2 girls, and you know, I want them to think mullets are badass, but not like the creepy guy. Like, you got to keep. There's that fine line of like, man, that dude's tight because he has a mullet, or bro, that dude is living a totally different life.
So where are you from originally? The hog tie, I think I heard the story. It was like you grew up doing that almost, or
Yeah, so I was born in Texas, but I grew up in like Northern California. My dad trained reining and cutting horses, so I grew up on ranches kind of all over, and then Northern California, and then, but yeah, I grew up, you know, roping, and one of my dad's friends at the time was a calf roper, and he taught me how to calf rope when I was young, and something I stuck to, and I was, funny how it came about, I was talking with Neil Smith out in KC, and he was like, man, Jared, you gotta get something that's, that has something to do with you, that represents you, and do it, as your sack celebration. And so I was talking to my buddies, and like, bro, bring back the old calf tie. I was like, all right, let's do it. And Kansas City loved it. It stuck around, and we made a pretty good job doing it.
Yeah, it was iconic. I mean, it was also electric, because sometimes you'd be right on top of the human. Yeah. Wow, dude. It was...
Yeah, back before they changed all the rules, you could almost like teabag them.
That's exactly what I was referring to. I'm happy that you recognize that. How often do you get reminded of the incredible play against Dan Orlovsky where he was sprinting across the...
You know what? The crazy part is, like, I think Dan reminds me more than anybody. It comes up on ESPN. He'll talk about it. Someone will say he said something on social media. A few times I've talked to Dan. He, was hilarious about it. But now that play always, hey, listen, I'll take them any way they come. And it was one of those deals where I think I was laughing and excited all the time. Like, this dude really just run out the back of the end zone. And then I looked around like, and I'm the closest one, so that's a sack and a safety.
It feels like when you have 4 safeties, though, I was very lucky to play on a team that had Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis. And whenever there was a 3rd and long or a 4th down in the 4th quarter to kind of seal the game, you knew that Dwight Freeney or Robert Mathis, it was going to be opportunistic. Like, hey, this game is probably ending because we got these 2 guys. Like, those big moments like that. Whenever a team was pinned or you saw an opportunity like that, what is it about those situations from you big-time pass rushers that kind of brings out the best in you? Is it because you know that they're throwing? Do you know a situation? Or is it just because, like, hey, this is a massive moment to make a big play?
Well, I think it's both, right? It's the ability to understand the game, understand where you're at in the game, and like you said, anytime you get third and 7 plus, you pretty much know what's a pass down. Especially if you're at home, right? Now you're on a silent count, like you said, end of the game, backed up. You got to kind of read, where they're at, right? If they're down 2 scores, you're not going to max pro typically, so you're going to have some more time. So yeah, it's a situation. Then Freeney and Mathis were just beasts off the edge. I mean, they had a jump off the ball that was second to none. And so you get in those situations, and really where a lot of times we're on the defensive side where we're reactionary based, right? You can use all your pre-snap tools to try to give you an idea of what's going to happen. But in those situations, we kind of get to dictate. For me, I always watch the play clock, right? And the offense is always, in 3rd and long, in 2 minutes, you're always draining the play clock down. So once the play clock under 3 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds, it's on 1. It's on the first head, but the ball's coming. So it's a calculated guess. You get off the rock and you get after it. And then again, it's that opportunity where you're going to have 80,000 people screaming your name and all that fun stuff. There we go. Try to get the sun out of my eyes. All that fun stuff. And again, I don't know what pass rusher doesn't like to hear 80,000 people screaming when they break the back of some quarterback. So, it's all selfishly motivated at the end.
Yeah, well, it's not. If it's good for you, by the way, it's good for your team. So who cares if it's selfish or not? It's good for everybody.
Well, it's funny. So Coach Vermeil told me when I was a rookie, I can't remember, I held my gap on something. I could have fallen back in the beak after to make a tackle or something. And he told me, he's like, why don't you make that play? I said, well, linebacker's coming up. He said, let me tell you something, son. He said, the best way you help our team is be the best defensive end you can be. He said, football is a selfish sport. He said, it's a battle of 11 individual battle, and you win it any way you can. So I said, all right, well, I'll try to make every play then.
Hey, you got to wait till you see me hog-tie or cap-tie these son of bitches after you want. The Robert Mathis, I think they looked at like the knee of the tackle, because if the knee moves, that means the rest of the body's moving. For you, whenever you're saying you're playing the clock and you said you knew it was on one, did you go off a sound then? Because the big thing is like, watch the ball. All you ever hear is people saying, watch the ball, watch the ball.
I've never watched the ball in the history of my career. I learned as a rookie. I had a great coach, Bob Carmelowitz. God rest his soul, but he taught guys like Derek Thomas, and he coached the Chiefs. And so I used to watch Derek Thomas and Leslie O'Neal film and stuff like that. And on Jason Taylor, because Bob worked with Jason out in Miami and stuff like that. I think I was in college or something. But anyways. I might be mistaken on that.
No, you get it. They get it. Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
Bob Carmelowitz was a hell of a coach, and he worked with a lot of great pass rushers. But when I was watching Derek Thomas film one day, I couldn't believe how fast he got out the ball. And he told me he watches the quarterback's hands. So 99% of all quarterbacks, right before they snap the ball, they drop their hand, right? And so my whole career, I always got off the rock on the quarterback's hand. And there's very handful. I mean, there's a few. Peyton is one of them. A couple of the other guys where they can sit there and not drop that hand before they get the ball. But almost all quarterbacks drop their hand before you get the ball, and that's how you get that half second that jump.
Did you ever tell quarterbacks on your team like, hey, dumbass, like I want to?
I did. I tried to tell. I remember Ponder when he came in and tried to let him know like, hey man, like if you can't. But I think it's just a natural reaction because their hands aren't wide, making sure they don't jam a football, finger on the football. And so, and the good ones will mess you. They're like, hey, they'll drop a hand, and then you'll drop off sides because it's on like 4, and they drop their hand on 2. There's not very many good ones that can do that.
What tackle gave you problems? Did you have any? What type of tackle gave you problems? Was it somebody who was like long and had long arms, or was it more of somebody short and stocky? And who was somebody you can recall being like, that guy was tough?
I didn't get to play Jonathan Ogden very often, but that type of pass, like a passive tackle, like a guy who's big enough to absorb a bull rush, but doesn't really give you his hands. Those are the ones that are hard. That we call them A setters or a vertical setter, where they just kind of absorb you, right? Those guys are tough because you really have to attack them and use different techniques to try to stop their foot and get them to attack so you can trap an arm and get around the corner. Or, if they're light in the backside, you can run through them. But the guy like J.O. was tough. I mean, but then again, I remember I'm old, so I played against J.O. when he had Steve McNair and Jamal Lewis at running back. So it was 3-step drops and power football all day. But those type of tackles are tough because they range. And then but for me, I got to practice against the best tackle in my mind to ever play the game in Willie Rofe. My whole first 3 years of my career, and that dude taught me so much about how to win and how to, if I could beat him, I could pretty much beat everybody. But so guys like him. Guys like I said, Ogden, and then Walter Jones. Walter Jones was just so athletic that he literally could match your movements. And then him and the quarterback worked so well together to where he would invite you in to take the inside move, and you had to take it because the quarterback's sitting right there. Next thing you know, the quarterback's on the outside. I remember they had Wallace, and dude scrambling 20 yards down the field, and you're just like, crap, it happened again.
I believe he slapped Matt Hasselbeck in the face so hard it knocked out Matt Hasselbeck during the training camp one time. That is a legendary story. That guy's mitts were rather.
I believe it, and he was, like I said, his thing, he was so good with his hands, you could beat his hands, but he was probably the most athletic tackle I've ever seen. And back then, tackles were 330, on the lighter side. Now, now they all want abs. So it was crazy to be that big and that athletic.
So now that we mentioned the Seahawks, let's talk about it, because we were talking about it before you got on here. The Seattle Seahawks, obviously Russell Wilson, the offense is moving. They've given up like 400 yards every single game. And the natural reaction is to talk about the secondary there. Oh, he can't cover. But they're number 28 out of 32 in pressure, in sacks. If you're a D-line that can't get sacks, is there anything you can do to get better, or do you just need dudes? Like, is there schematics that you can change midway through the season?
If you start scheming a pass rush, I used to go live. You can ask any of my coaches, and they called it'd be 3rd and 8, and they call it games on the sideline. I'm like, games are for cowards. Games are a good change-up, right? But games are for people that can't rush the passer because you got to try to trick somebody. So at the end of the day, I mean, that's a rush and coverage works together too, right? So you can't expect your back end to cover for 6 to 8 seconds. Not even that. We had a rule: if you're not there in 2.5 seconds, it's a coverage sack. And just like rush needs coverage. If the ball's out under 2 seconds, nothing you can do about it. So yeah, it's a mentality. It's about obviously technique, understanding the art of pass rushing, understand that pass rushing is a violent art, and then having the technique and the ability to do it, and then the want to. A lot of times it just comes down to doing whatever it takes to want to, and understanding how to set people up. So if your pass rush is lacking, then yeah, it starts with able-bodied people. But then you got to go back and have all those people review the techniques you're using to get to the quarterback, and you got to find out what techniques are going to work best for those players, because not everybody can rush with the same technique and survive on it. So you got to try to figure that out. Like you saw the thing, Kevin and myself. Kevin isn't going to do the same things I'm going to do, and and vice versa. Just like I'm not going to rush like Dwight Freeney, and Dwight Freeney's not going to rush like me.
It's so interesting because if you don't have a pass rush, you're basically done. Screwed. It doesn't get talked about, but you're watching a game, and if a quarterback is just sitting there, it's like, oh, that team's probably going to win right there if I had to guess.
Oh, 100%. And then what happens if you can't get pressure with your front four, you got to blitz, right? So now you're forcing man coverage. Now you're zone blitzing. You're trying to piece together pressures, and that makes it hard. That makes it harder on your back end as well. It makes it harder on your linebackers. Again, I think the mark of any true defense is a front seven that can just smash the run, and then a front four that can get after the passer, and that way too. Then when you throw a blitz in there, they don't know where it's coming from, and I think that's how my years in Minnesota we were so effective. We had a D line that could just outright change games, and then our front seven were smashing the run, and now you allow your back end to cover. Your back end can take more chances. You get more turnovers. You can do more things in the blitz game. So. Yeah, it's a bad deal if you can't get to the passer, especially this day and age where you have to be able to disrupt. It's not necessarily just sacking, but you have to be able to bat balls. You have to be able to disrupt the passing game, because so much of the short passing game has kind of taken over for the old school run game.
We're talking to Jared Allen, 5-time Pro Bowler, played in the NFL for 12 years, had one of the most electric celebrations in the history of football. Yeah. Connor, what do you got?
Yeah, Jared, do you have a favorite sack? And on the opposite spectrum of that, was there ever a QB that you didn't get to that you always wish you did?
Well, I mean, obviously, I love the fact that I got the sack. Brett, Matt Payton, all those times. Played Payton a bunch. Only got him once. The dude was tough to get to. Brady. Yes. I don't think there was anybody that I never got to. Someone didn't get to as many as others. I'm trying to think. Who I was really excited, though, I got to be honest. This is probably the most excited I've ever been for someone to retire. But I got drafted by the Chiefs. I grew up a Raiders fan. When I got drafted by the Chiefs, I was terrified that I was going to have to go play Rich Gannon. Make me look like a fool, right? And he retired, and I was just like, yes. Yes, this is awesome.
Tonight, there's a guy playing for the Broncos at quarterback that I did not know existed until today, named Rippon, playing quarterback. Everybody knows, I don't know who he is either. He's a football player, though. He's very good at the football. He's the starting quarterback tonight for the Denver Broncos against the New York Jets. And I know in the secondary and in blitzes, you can kind of mess with young quarterbacks or whatever. Is there anything a defensive line can do that can take advantage of inexperience at a quarterback position?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, you run your mouth, right? Just talk at him. If I was a coordinator, any young quarterback, I would zero blitz every young quarterback till they died. I would just full on to zero blitz. Make them beat me. But yeah, hit them. Like, we used to have rules like no matter what, always be around the quarterback. Right? I mean, on the way back to the huddle, rubbing next to him, talking to him in their ear, just always have a body around the quarterback.
What are you saying? What are you saying? Like, has any quarterback gave back with you into talking?
Oh yeah, me and Cutler used to go back and forth. Me and Rivers used to go back and forth. Philip was always fun. We used to, and then a lot of times you end up saying dumb stuff, and afterwards you have to apologize because you actually like the guy.
Hey, I don't think you're a terrible trash quarterback, dude. I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean what I said. Like, it's a cool. I remember one time my rookie year we were playing Atlanta, and we played Michael. We ended up winning. That was the year they went to the AFC Championship game. I think it was my rookie year. It might have been my second year. We beat them 56-10. And I was wearing out the tackle. I think Schaefer was his name. I was just in his ear nonstop. We had 2.5 sacks that game. Was crushing it. Woo. And I didn't realize the game was over. And he looked at me. He was like, "Bro, like the game was over."
What'd you say to him? What are some of your you just anything that comes to your mind? Are you always a shit talker too and everything? Or
yeah, in 2008 I quit cussing, right? And so that made it a lot harder to really inflict wounds on other people. But 2009, I quit cussing, but me and Pat, we used to wear people out. And I got to be honest, I'm not saying this right, but nothing was off limits. If I could find something to wear you out about, I'd wear you out about it. And then don't let me put the quarterback on the ground, too, because then it was just over for you. And they try to make you feel like the least big of a human being you could possibly feel like. So, yeah, we used to laugh like, if you can see it in a dude's eyes too, and they get so frustrated with you that they're totally not focused on the game. And you asked, earlier what the hardest tackle to play against is ones that don't talk, like the tackles that just are quiet. You're like, crap. I'm over here just sitting on an island, no one to talk to. I got no trash talk. I can't. Then if you don't get a sack, you can't even rub that in on their face. So. They kind of win by default.
The thought about getting in the pocket and just being present is such a big thing. People started doing that to punters. Like, hey, even if they get the punt off, just be in the area so that you're thinking about it the next time you go, or the quarterback's thinking about the next time they want to step up. That's a real mind debunker there a little bit.
Well, I mean, so I was a long snapper too, right? People forget that. I'm probably the best long snapper in NFL history that only had to snap like 3 times.
There we go. Hell yeah. There we go. Athlete.
Put the tape on. My long snapping is legit. But I came in up older. Like I'll never forget my first preseason long snapping game. We were playing the Browns. That was maybe my second one. I was snapping punts because we had Kendall Gammon, so we had the day off. I was snapping field goals. And they put Big Baby Rogers over the top of me. That dude, I don't think I've ever been hit so hard in my life. But to say the same thing, we used to do that with long snappers, right? You crack a long snapper in the side of his neck. That neck snap is going to be.
You're a terrible guy, Jared. You're the reason why they had to change all the rules. You're the reason why.
Dude, but see, I used to get payback in college on a long snap. They would always try to jump over the top. So I would chop people's legs out right from underneath. People land on their head all the time, and then they get pissed at me. I'm like, dude, quit jumping.
Yeah, that's a real thing too. Because then they made a rule you couldn't line up over top of the snapper, and then you couldn't even hit him in the shoulder because of this particular situation happening. And back in the day, whenever they told a guy to jump over the snapper's job was to lift his head up, hopefully get him in the balls, and flip him over, so then next time he doesn't jump ever again.
I used to fire. See, I was a jerk though, so I used to fire out. If I had no one over the top of me and they were trying to jump over the guard, I would fire out and try to knife the linebacker.
Savage. Jared, you were talking about us watching your tape, and we watched a little bit of your tape this morning when you were on Jackass, and you had a clean shot blindsided Johnny Knoxville where I thought you snapped his neck. Was there a worry there that you were going to snap his neck, and did you lay off a little bit for him?
So, what was crazy? We got there, and they gave me this helmet that I literally could bend myself, right? And I'm like, man, if I hit this dude hard, I might hurt myself. If I wanted to leave my feet head first into his just face, right? And so what happened? We did the linebacker one, first where he was catching the pass. And I was just I just drove my shoulder into him because I didn't want to go head to head. And my buddy was with me. He's like, bro, you gotta give it to him. So, Knox is the toughest dude. He's one of the coolest guys ever. We became good friends after that. But he is running his mouth to me like, dude, you hit like you can't hit. So I finally just crack him, the one you see on the pass. But then I told him, I was like, bro, I'm not a linebacker. You want to see what I do. Why don't you drop back and pass? So that was just kind of a one-off. So it was muddy, so I was just really trying to keep my feet. But yeah, there was no holding back when I drove him into the ground. And he told me later he separated a part of his sternum. The ground. So yeah, when his neck drove into the ground like that, I was like, oh. After we got up, my buddy's like, dude, his neck might have broken. And, I was just mad because I was hoping I wanted it to be really dry, because I originally wanted to run like straight through Preston's head and then then sack Knox. But anyways, I was like, well, I don't want to look looking like an idiot slipping and falling, so I'll just come around the edge and blast him.
Johnny Knoxville, even when he got rich, was completely okay doing the dumbest shit ever. I mean, he is one of the most down to earth, coolest dudes. Like, I honestly have met. So, like I said, we became friends after that. He used to come out to my golf tournaments all the time and support our foundation. Such a humble, nice dude. When my first daughter was born, he sent me all these onesies, right, with like different things like ironed onto him. I think one was like of Elvis, Dolly Parton. One was of myself. And so I'm thinking, he's had them printed up. And he's like, so I'm texting him. He's like, no, dude. He's like, he's like, you like those? I was like, yeah. He's like, I ironed them on myself. Things like that. You're like, you don't think a guy like him was going to do that. But yeah, he sent all these onesies. It was hilarious. And so yeah, I should shoot him a text, check in on him every now and then. So yeah, what a great dude. But seriously, some of the toughest dudes, hands down, ever. Like, they are legit tough. He's such a better person than I think anybody that's in this conversation right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would ever.
Well, I think like everybody, he's like, we had our wild and crazy days. Now that we're fathers, we all have to calm it down a little bit.
Well, let's talk about the foundation you just mentioned right there. I read up on a little bit, a Home for Wounded Warriors, which was founded or started because you went on a USO tour or something like that. Can you talk about it a little bit? Because I think this is incredibly cool.
So we actually just gave a house away, another house away. What was it? What's the day? Thursday? So Wednesday?
Let's go! Hey, by the way, that's yesterday, Jared. I mean,
we retired every day Saturday. So I started this foundation back in 2009. I went on a USO tour. So my whole family is military. My grandfather, who's passed now, but he was 23 years United States Marine Corps captain. My uncles, my brother, like everybody's been in the military, majority of the Marine Corps. And so I went on a USO tour, and it was crazy, man. I got to see, like, just firsthand what our men and women are going through. And before I left back in, like, 2007, I met a guy who became a buddy, and he had told me about the gap in adaptive housing when people came back. And so when I came back from the USO tour, that stuck with me. I was like, man, our men and women over here, sacrificing life and limb, and not even that, even the ones that come back perfectly fine and all that. I mean, they're sacrificing family and just the everyday things that we take for granted, And so when I came back, I wanted to do something, and so I sat down with some buddies, and we came up with the idea of, kind of wanted to focus it around, what's my American dream, right? Because our men and women that serve, they protect this American dream every single day. And we said, okay, so my American dream is start, home and a family, like that whole deal. And, what's home? It's my safest place at my most, vulnerable time. And that's what we wanted to create, because I don't think anybody deserves it more than those who lay it on the line. And be honest, you got alpha men and female coming back and having to learn to walk, talk, think, do things on their own again, and rely on people. It can be a drag on them, and it can be psychologically it's rough. And so we started the foundation, and we started building homes, and obviously we've grown and we've matured, and we've had our ups and downs and figured out how to do it. But we're on a strive now. We have phenomenal partners, and I think we're on our 20th project plus. We just gave one away. Yeah, I said yesterday. We have 3 more all over the country, and it's been great. We've been on for 10 years, and we're rocking.
Hey, Jared, that's awesome. How can people donate or help out?
Man, honestly, go to homesforwoundedwarriors.com. You can donate online right there. Obviously, we don't have any events going on with COVID and all that stuff, and again, you can find all of our information right there. Get a hold of Amanda or someone at the office, and stuff like that. We love our partners. We can't do it without them. I tell people all the time. My job just gave me a platform to do something right? And it's paying it forward. That's what it's all about. To much is given, much is expected. And so we treat everybody, whether it's $1, whether it's $100,000, we appreciate it all. I think our last 990 was like 89%. It means 89 cents of every dollar goes directly into a house.
Let's go.
We're a small organization. So yeah, go check out the website. And donate, and we appreciate all the support.
Well, we appreciate you doing that. We appreciate you joining us today. And before I let you go, I do have to ask you about you being maybe the worst curling player in the history of curling.
Oh, No.
The internet said you have never won a single game of curling. That's what the internet said.
Not true. We had a decent year last year.
Okay. All right. The
internet's a little behind times. We were bad. So, but curling is dope, right? So, like, we decided hey, we're going to take it on the chin. Let's go. But there's no real, I guess there is. You can go Bonspiels, but we decided, I want to know what my competition is like. So we formed a team of 4 people that never curled again, and our first match was against the gold medalists.
Yes. And that's why you are a legend, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, we did. We won a handful of games last year, and now with COVID, everything's on pause. But I promise you, my ultimate goal is I will be wearing the red, white, and blue in the Olympics for curling.
Yes! Ladies and gentlemen, NFL legend, future curling Olympian, Jared Allen. Jared. All right, man. Have a good one. What a legend.
You too. Take care, guys.
I did not know that Jared Allen was like that. I didn't get to the barbed wire tattoo that popped up there. We should have talked about that a little bit. But man, the amount of chirping I assume he did on it. I stopped swearing in 2009, so I wasn't able to really get at their soul. He said or something like that.
He must have said some ruthless shit if he had to quit swearing.
Bro, him telling the story about just taking out long snappers and all this stuff. Like, what a savage. That was the NFL back in the day, bro.
Yeah.
That is why you hear all the NFL legends talk about today's NFL and just be like, oh, you missed a bye week? Is that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was getting my head speared by a guy
with leather helmet.
Football used to be insane. Still is, by the way. Greatest sport on earth. But back in the day, those guys they used to just be savages. Now he's doing good. Those homes for woundedwarriors.com. I hope people check that out. I hope we'll probably end up donating something. I'd assume if Phil's listening. Phil's probably already on there. Let's go to Matthew in Baltimore before we wrap up hour 2 here. Hour 3, by the way, we have AJ Hawk and Steve Mariucci, the Mooch.
Mooch.
What's going on, Matthew in Baltimore?
Hello. Hi. What's up, fella?
All right, Matthew. First things first. How old are you? What are you doing right now?
I'm 26 years old, and I have an off day, so I'm literally doing nothing.
Attaboy, Matthew. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Well, first off, I just wanted to say that I love your show. I find it very inspiring because you guys don't give a 4-letter word that starts with the letter S.
It ends with us.
And you guys yourself, and that to me is inspiring. And by the way, I think you'd be an amazing quarterback. I've been watching the show today.
There you go. This guy gets it.
He does, dude. Well, I'm not moving my hands either when I'm taking that thing, okay? I'm holding that sumbitch sturdy in there. Hey!
The hard count is.
I mean, you'd have an arm like Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying.
Matthew, you call in anytime you want. Listen, you call in anytime you want. What do you want to talk about, brother?
So anyway, I have the Steelers defense on fantasy, which it's been a hard week, and I wanted to take a risk. I'm a risk taker, and I was wondering, what if Adam Gase and his toe-sucking cast decided to eat spinach before the game? Should I start the Jets?
Okay, great question, Matthew. Let's go to Fantasy Tone here. Fantasy Tone Diggs, who has told Matthew Berry the answers to fantasy questions before. Fantasy Tone, if you had the Steelers' defense this weekend against the Titans, interesting technique, by the way. I don't know how much run defense matters because the Titans are going to be able to do that, and the Steelers' defense is unbelievable, so they're going to get you some points. But all of a sudden, COVID ran through Nashville. Now they're out this week, much like Zito's Ben Roethlisberger quarterback and Derrick Henry. Fantasy people are being affected by this COVID more than you could ever fathom, especially this weekend. Tone, if you're that guy, what defense are you thinking about picking up this weekend?
Come on, Tony. Did he say something about the toes and the Jets?
So he said toes sucking Jets, which I like. If that's like what people that don't swear say something sucks, like you toes sucking some. I don't know if that's how it goes.
Is Adam Gase a toe sucker?
I'm not certain. I don't know anything about that. We are not going to get into any other
teams.
Very, very interesting, though. Who would you pick, Tone? Fantasy Tone.
Come on, probably the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams?
Oh, yeah.
What are you projecting them points-wise?
16.7 points.
How many sacks?
17.
Man, you just spitting all over Matthew Berry whenever he was here is going to affect you long term.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Fantasy football for fun.
LT, obviously.
Everyone always talks about how important it is to get a good night's rest, but following that advice can be difficult. That's why the folks at CBDMD created CBD PM to help you get the rest you deserve and feel your best every single morning. CBD PM blends 500 milligrams of superior CBD, not that bad CBD from everywhere else. This is superior CBD with sleep-promoting ingredients like melatonin, valerian root, and chamomile to create a powerful and effective sleep aid. So whether you're up late with the kids, pets, or existential dread, you can turn to CBD PM and get the rest you need to handle anything that comes your way. Right now, you get 25% off your next order. Yes, a quarter off your next order when you go to CBDMD.com and use promo code McAfee. 25% off your purchase of high-quality CBD oil products from CBDMD when you go to CBDMD.com and use promo code McAfee. 25% off. That thing will put you out like a light. I promise you that. 30 minutes, you're sleeping soundly. We're back on the other side. Steve Mariucci, former coach of the Niners, now on NFL Network. AJ Hawk. What a day to have a day. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
Lakers, welcome to the blender, the home of a team and a fan base on a playoff push the likes the world has never seen before. Crescent City, get on your feet for tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Sprite, an incredibly refreshing drink. Starting at forward was the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Now he's an NBA All-Star, Brandon Ingram. At forward, this man has been dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years. The incomparable, unstoppable 6'6" phenom, Zion Williamson. At center, standing at 8 feet tall, from Georgia Tech, number 22, Derek Favors. This man's family had a reality show in Lithuania. He was born and raised in LA, but he found his J in Vienna. Lonzo Ball. And the OG of the roster. On the court, he's a monster. Braids hanging, shots banging. It's not Drew, it's Drew Holiday. Let's get this done. Thank you very much. Go Pelicans. That's how you play basketball.
We're back today with some more Gumpy nukes. I liked those stats yesterday, but I love these stats today. Let's start with two of the big dogs in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread, and they're covering by a whopping 11.7 points per game. Seattle Seahawks, same story, 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread, and they're covering by an average of 5.3 points per game. Now, to the over-under stat of the day. It's not about matchups, it's not about divisional matchups, it's about the time the game is played. The early kickoffs, the over is hitting at 22-5. Now, the late game kickoffs, the under is hitting at 9 out of 11 games. That is absurd. We'll be back tomorrow with Hammer Down to break down the massive Broncos and Jets matchup. Cheers.
Doing it for the brand. Doing it for the brand. It's the Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, your Thursday, October 1st. We are transitioning into a show, a segment that is an hour long every single day, except for some days whenever this man's traveling. Welcome to McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk. I am Pat McAfee. Joining us now is a man who's a Super Bowl champion, a college football national champion, a man whose jawline is one that has been described as the greatest in the history of sports, ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hawk.
Yeah! Whoa!
What's going on, AJ?
What's happening, guys? You doing all right?
Not too shabby. We talked to Jared Allen last hour. I'm going to be honest. What an electric factory that
He's
man
the man. Jared Allen's one of my favorite humans alive.
Football player or humans in general? Because I just talked to him for the first time, and I think he's landed on both lists all of a sudden.
Yep. He's like a guy like Urlacher. You meet him, and you're like, I wish I had known this guy my whole life. Not only are they Hall of Fame type talent players, I mean, Urlacher's already in the Hall of Fame, but they're awesome, normal dudes. He's one of us, Pat.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jared Allen felt like. Where does he live? Do you know where Jared Allen lives?
He was in Arizona last time I talked to him.
He's just out there doing. I wonder if he still is up on the horses riding around.
Probably.
Yeah.
Mullet like that.
He talked about the amount of chirping. He said he used to just chirp all the time. He said he was just talking, and whenever a tackle chose not to talk to him, he felt lonely during the games because he couldn't talk to anybody. They wouldn't talk back to him. He talked about how with a rookie quarterback, you can take advantage of him, whether it's always getting a hit on him or talking to him or whatever. Tonight, we got a guy named Rippon starting at quarterback for the Denver Broncos against the New York Jets, AJ. How do you see this game playing out? And if you're on the Jets defense, are you looking forward to a chance to play against a guy with no name? Or are you thinking, hey, if this guy with no name beats us, this is going to be a long fucking night yet again. We got another night of this.
Well, you kind of hit it both right there. It's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, well, hopefully we can take advantage of this young, inexperienced quarterback. But also, on the flip side, if we lose to him, this is going to be tragic for our club.
Tragic is a great way to describe it. I'll tell you what, NFL Network has the coverage tonight. Just like last week, I love the game that everybody thought wasn't going to be great. Tonight's game is going to be awesome. And there's one man who is a constant on NFL Network, a man who is obviously incredibly accomplished as a coach, but I think everybody knows him in this generation or the younger generation as just being an electric factory on television. Ladies and gentlemen, former head coach of the Niners, now NFL Network legend, ladies and gentlemen, Mooch, Coach Steve Mariucci.
Am I supposed to be smoking a cigar or anything right now?
No, that's just AJ.
Mandatory?
That's just AJ, Mooch. I can't keep up with what he's
Not
got.
with you, AJ. That's awesome. How you guys doing?
Hey, not too shabby, Coach. We appreciate you for joining us. And as I said in the intro there, you were a very good football coach, but I think you really found a home in television. Did you ever get the itch to get back to TV, or when you started doing TV, you're like, hey, I think this is it?
So I love coaching. I had about 15 seasons, I had 15 seasons in college coaching. I had 15 seasons in pro coaching. This is my 15th season in television, okay? So I can't decide which one I love better. So I've got it very equally divided. And so, if I didn't have such a great alternative to work for the NFL Network, I would have gone back into coaching. I had some chances to do that. My family always voted no. They didn't want to do that and move again. And I moved my wife. Mac, I moved my wife 18 times. Try that sometime.
That's love.
That's love. No, that's like, I'm going to kill you in your sleep if you So we decided, and now that we're old, and our kids are kind of grown up out of the house, I wouldn't have to move them, but I would have to move away from them. So anyway, the television thing has been a lot of fun. I work with some nutcases. You know that over there at the NFL Network. We do that show. You're crazy, but I also have some crazy guys to work with too. Michael Irvin's off the chart. Right?
The best.
Kurt Warner is crazy too in his own little boring way. And then other guys and so we have a lot of fun. I have absolutely no complaints. Love what I'm doing. Just like you guys love what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
We get to talk about a game that we love, right? Since 5th grade or whatever, and now we get to talk about it on radio or TV or whatever, and it's I love it.
Coach, you mentioned that you moved your wife 18 times. Like when you were the head coach of whatever team, how aware of you were the responsibility you held that, hey, any little decision I make can affect the lives of everybody here? Because the head coach gets fired, usually the assistants are gone, all these families, kids taken out of school, move somewhere else. Like, is that something that weighs on head coaches?
Big time. And if somebody says they don't care about that, they're lying, because yeah, I mean, you got 20 guys on your staff and their families and their wives. And, what I found is, for all of you aspiring young coaches out there that want to get into this gig, and it's awesome. It's an honor and a privilege to coach in college or even high school and in the pros. To be called coach is pretty cool. I'm just telling you that, okay? And however, it's not all, and guys are getting paid a lot of money these days, right? I mean, they're making the assistant coaches in college at, say, Cal, where I was the head coach. Assistants are making more than I made as a head coach. I mean, it's good, but you're a nomad and you never know where you're going to be from year to year. And so it's easy for a coach to go, from here to the Packers and start coaching football over there. You get the same kind of office and routine and practice and this and that, and then you move over there and it's similar because it's football. It's different for the families. It's different for the wives. Go find new schools and new babysitters and new friends and new pediatricians and new everything. 18 times? Are you kidding me? So that's all. And move. Boy, oh boy, it's, coaching wives going straight to heaven, because it's not easy on them. It's easier on the coach than it is on the family, believe me.
Well, let alone the public scrutiny that comes alongside of it. Like, for instance, right now.
It's not like we're the CEO of a company or you're doing your own thing and you got a nice job for 20, 30 years. But, everybody's an expert in your field and they would like to, voice their opinion on a daily basis. And so that's it, man. That's what you sign up for, right? You sign your name on the dotted line. You're going to get ripped for everything you do. And it's you better just win, or else you're going to be, heck, you can win and still move, if you win and move up and take a better position somewhere else. There's just no stability in coaching.
Coach, so whenever you see what's happening with like Adam Gase in New York, whenever you hear like tonight's game, for instance, if this guy loses, everybody that has ever thought about being a Jets fan, any human that's ever talked about football is going to be like, get this guy the hell out of town. Everything's bad. Whenever you hear that, and you've been in the head coaching chair before, and San Francisco is that's not a small market either. Does that type of thing ever creep in? Like, is Adam Gase know what is coming tomorrow if he doesn't perform tonight, or is that just where he's got to have the blinders on, all the cliches that you could possibly mention at this particular time?
Guess who gave Adam Gase his first job in the National Football League coaching? Yeah.
Jets fans are not going to be happy with you.
I don't care. You know what? So here's what happened. Most coaches work their way up. You don't just go from, say, playing the game to the big office with a view. You know what I mean? You got to work your way up and do the grunt work, and then become a quality control, and then a position coach, and then a coordinator, and then a head coach if you are successful. That's the normal progression. Well, I was lucky enough to get my first gig in the NFL was with the Los Angeles Rams. John Robinson gave me. I worked as quality control 1985, and for zero pay. I lied. They gave me lunches. And so
nice of them. Very nice of them.
That's how many of us, whether you're Gruden or you just on and on and on. A lot of guys started as a quality control. What is that? It's like a graduate assistant in college. And you do the grunt work, you make the coffee, and you do the cards, and you do the scouting reports, and you do the computer breakdowns, and you just do whatever they say, and you never go home. And so I was given that opportunity. Well, Adam Gase was working when I was in Detroit, he was over in the scouting department, putting up cards on the wall, for the scouts and the draft board and this and that. And he came over and he said, "Coach, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I want to get into coaching." He had done that a little bit at Michigan State. And I said, "You know what? You come on over with the coaches. I'm not paying you anything more than what you're getting right now, $1.98 over in scouting. But you can come and start learning and working and getting, with these guys and this and that." And so he became one of our quality control assistant kind of coaches. And then I got fired. So I wasn't with him very long, but he stayed. He stayed, and then he became Mike Martz's guy. I mean, that's where he learned, to be a assistant coach and coordinator, eventually a head coach. Mike Martz took him under his wing after I left. And so somebody's got to give you a break and give you an opportunity and a chance. So, he's been around the block a little bit. He's got a lot of pressure. We know he's got a lot of pressure on him over there in New York with the Jets. And we know that their team's not very good. I mean, they got beat by the 49ers with half of their starters out. And so, whoa, mamma mia. So, you know what? This is a game they got to win. I think they can. I mean, you got a brand new quarterback playing for the Broncos tonight. I'm gonna be fun to watch. I don't know much about Brett Rypien, and we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think not a whole lot of people know much about what's going to happen tonight. It will be fun, though. I think the chaos could be fun. But you mentioned not many football guys go from playing to the big job, become head coaches, but basketball does. Like we saw Jason Kidd, it happened with. Steve Nash was recently hired. How can they do it, and it doesn't ever happen in football?
Way different animal. I mean, basketball, coaching 12 guys is different than coaching. It's not 53. It's all the practice squad, and it's all the assistant coaches. Some staffs have 26 guys, and I mean, it's a bigger, more complicated responsibility in football. It just is. More positions, more offense and defensive strategy. It's no disrespect. My best friend Tom Izzo coaches basketball, and I have all the respect in the world for basketball coaches. But it's a little bit more difficult going from player to head coach in the National Football League versus basketball.
So it sounds like you have a lot more respect for football coaches, but a lot of respect for basketball.
For any coach. My dad was a coach. My dad was a wrestling coach. Don't make me show you a double leg kick.
Hey, I'll put you in a banana split, don't you know?
Let's go. Hunters are people too.
Hey, that a boy Mooch. The television business has been one where you've been one of the constants over there. You talk about Michael Irvin, you talk about Kurt Warner, you talk about Rich Eisen. Your pregame show is awesome to watch. In just the amount of things that you're willing to do. What's going on? You just slapped the thing. Are you mad?
Well, I'm telling you why I slapped the thing, because we're still doing it from home. We're still
COVID.
We're doing a thing at home with a backdrop, and we are wanting to be together because you know how it is. It's just better when you're together, right? Because we screw around so much and feed off each other's energy and make fools of ourselves. My wife gets so pissed off at me for like impersonating Ditka and just the English accent when we go play in London and all the stupid things that we do. But we have so much fun doing it, and viewers like it too. You know, you just kind of be stupid sometimes, and we can't really do that sitting at home in a chair for 4 hours. My ankles are swelling up, and we just do the best we can. We're like Hollywood Squares, but we're trying to make the best of it because we just love working with each other and competing against these other networks. But right now they're all in, and we're trying to see if that can be possible before the end of the year.
Well, I love your competition and your competitive mindset. Everybody's kind of adjusting to this. If you were coaching in the modern time right now, that's happening. In modern, I mean like the COVID world that we're in. The Titans this week, there was a thought that they were potentially going to have to play a game with just Zoom calls all week and then walk through and then again. Now they postponed it, obviously. But that conversation was a wild one for me to hear. And with the offseason being Zoom calls and everything like that, what would have to be the way you would guide a ship? It's a lot of accountability. Self-accountability on the players, I think, at this point.
You are just begging your players and coaches to continue with the rules, the guidelines that we've set up, the scientists and the health department people and the NFL about social distancing and about not going out and about, because what the NFL has done a heck of a job. Let's face it.
I agree.
Thousands of tests every day, and now it's expensive. High schools and colleges can't do that. Other sports don't even do that. And so we have done a great job of keeping the COVID positives way down, okay? Now all of a sudden the Vikings and the Titans play a game. We got a little outbreak. And so remember the Marlins when they had like 19 guys, boom, and they had to miss a couple of weeks right away. But it's been pretty darn good up until this one. So now the Titans are going to play. But they've got a plan for it. Play them later on and then use the bye and get those games made up. And so hopefully we don't have another outbreak like this. But it's all in keeping with, all right, we've got a handful of people in our organization. We've all got to we got to continue testing everybody. And hopefully that this we can quarantine those people and get them back as soon as they can. But it doesn't spread to someone else. And so it's unfortunate with the Titans and the Steelers. But, Mike Vrabel's just saying to his guys, hey, you're going to go home. We're going to Zoom call. The Zoom meetings went very well, guys. You know what I mean? Okay. I mean, look at this. We're having a meeting right now. It's going very well. So they had all kinds of meetings. And I thought the play in the league was going to be really crappy, really sloppy the first month of September. Sloppy September, as I call it. And it didn't happen. I thought the play was pretty darn good so far. The officiating's been pretty darn good so far. We've got more injuries. Yeah. It's not necessarily more injuries, okay? It's more injuries to marquee people that get all the, oh my God, Saquon Barkley and Bosa and some of those. But in terms of I'm on the player safety advisory panel. We just had a conference call yesterday, and we went over some of this stuff. And really, injuries are not really upticked. It just happens to be very high-profile people right now.
Hey, that's good news. Yeah. By the way,
I guess we just. I still do think as we get in better football shape, this thing will normalize as best we can. And some of these players I like the new IR rules where it's only 3 weeks and get them back, right?
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I saw J.C. Treader. He's the head of the PA. He wrote a letter or put a newsletter out saying that he thinks he wants to try to find a way to have everybody have natural grass instead of the turf. Did you ever care about the surface? And how do you think? Which is there a side to fall on here? Do you care?
It's hard because it's hard to govern everybody's venue because some of these venues are in sunshine states. Some of them are in states where the turf is frozen by by Thanksgiving or even Halloween. Some of them share with a college. Some of them have high school games played. Some places it rains more than others. It dig it up. Can you imagine a rain game on Saturday and then the NFL has to play the next day? That's not feasible. And so each one has some are domes. You ever try to play in grass and domes? I don't know. They kind of roll that stuff out and roll it back in and have the pink lights and all different things that they try. But I don't know if they can mandate grass everywhere.
The University of Phoenix Stadium is the one you're talking about, where the field takes a walk outside and then it comes right up.
So Houston has those plates. That kind of thing. But that stadium in Tottenham, Tottenham, and over there in London, they have. You guys got to see that. We did a game. We had our 4 crazy guys do the booth. 4 guys in a booth.
It was awesome, though. You guys did well, I thought.
Well, it was fun. You just had to try to get a word in edgewise. You know what I mean? And so they have a deal where the bottom turf is for football, because they were going to have X amount of games for pro football in the NFL, build its own locker rooms in there and everything. But then they had another big plate that had grass on it that would go in and out of the stadium, and it had pink lights instead of sunshine. It had fake sunshine, and then they would roll that thing out over the top of the turf and play soccer. 8,000 games of soccer. It was unbelievable what these stadiums are nowadays. But anyway, that's the issue: is how much does a grass field get beat up? Because we want to play on a safe surface, not on a one's that got 4,000 divots on it and mud.
Mooch, you're on the safety advisory committee. Is there any other boards that you're on? And how do you get selected for that board? Is it just the NFL call? Like Roger Goodell says, hey, Mooch, we think you'd be good on the safety advisory thing. You want to do this? And you have to say yes. Like, how does that process get selected, and who else is on there with you?
Well, I don't know. I've been on for 8 or 10 years or whatever. I actually took Marty Schottenheimer's place. But John Madden had been heading it up for years, okay? And John is just, and Ronnie Lott is kind of the headed up. And it's Anthony. Of course, it's Roger Goodell and Jeff Passion and people from the NFL, and it's Dr. Sills, Alan Sills, right? Our doctor. You got to have medical representation too. It's got former GMs, former players, some former coaches, and you get a variety of perspectives. And we try to keep track of the injury trends in the league. And this was a doozy year because it was so different, because typically we would keep the data from all injuries. Of course, concussions have been the most important thing, the most concerning thing that has really kind of altered some rules, right? But we study ACLs and concussions and heat exhaustion and ankles and lower body injuries and soft tissue and whatever. And is it on turf? Is it on grass? Is it in live scrimmages? Is it 7-on-7? Where is it? When is it? And so all of those things. And then we make recommendations to the league and the competition committee as to what we think. Like half the concussions are happening on special teams. I'm just giving you hypotheticals. So how do we reduce that? Well, we move the kickoff up and we get more touchbacks, right? So we eliminated half the kickoff returns. That's because of concussions. And then we change the back wedge, and we start at the 25-yard line to encourage teams to take a touchback. And so, some of those kinds of things, they're all health related. They're all injury related. So we're trying to make the game a little bit safer, with less guys getting hurt and out for the year. And so we've done some of that. It's never going to be perfect because it's such a contact sport, right? And some of our rules will trickle down into colleges, and less live scrimmages and practice times and the whole thing.
That's quite a tall task, because this entire initiative was the Heads Up Football initiative. I assume you guys were a massive part of that as well whenever it was changing the rules for defenseless receivers and the hits over the middle. I assume that was a big part of your board.
Part of it. I mean, we don't make that final decision. We make recommendations to the NFL and the competition committee, and then of course they vote on it with the committee and the owners and that sort of thing. But we study the data and we look at it, what the trends are. Are we cutting back on that? Was for years. It was like, how do we cut back the number of concussions? Yeah. All right. Smart. Well, geez, you don't hit people in the head. You don't lead with the head. You don't block with the head. You don't hit. Right, in practice as much. And there's only 14 days of full contact in training camp. There used to be about every day could be full contact if you wanted to. All of those kinds of things. And so it is making the game safer. We're trying to make youth football coaches certified, right? And so they know they can't be like reliving their childhood and smashing guys into each other. They've got to learn safe drills, and they've got to be good with how to teach football safely and play the game properly, and all those kinds of things. So it's a real broad brush that we're trying to paint here, but a little at a time.
Well, I hope that was an email potentially with some numbers that state that you can change the onside kick back to what it was before the rule was changed. But other than
6%, how about that Dallas Cowboy kick? You know what? How about that? There was divine intervention. That ball was spinning, and then it just took a right. It just went like it hit a rock or something. And went boom. And those guys were trying to. They knew the rules. I mean, those guys know the rules. You can go get it, but they probably felt that it was going to die and it was going to be their ball. 1st and 10, game over, right?
Maybe.
And the ball seemed to pick up speed and take a right. What was that?
It was awesome, is what it was. Just like you.
If you kick a ball like that, you know how to do that?
Mooch, come on, Coach.
Come on. You didn't do that. You put it on a tee.
Oh, Coach. Ladies and gentlemen, 15-year head coach in college football, 15-year head coach in the NFL, 15 years on NFL Network this season. Ladies and gentlemen, an accomplished man, football guy, head coach Steve Mariucci. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Oh, man. You can see how passionate he is about football.
He loves it.
And that's why he's awesome on the television, because how passionate he is. There's in the middle of he slapped the table whenever I started talking about how good their show is because of how mad he is that he's been at home and not been able to be in the studio. That's awesome.
Well, one of my favorite parts was as he was getting up to try to have a virtual wrestling match with you, I was just thinking of his wife and possibly maybe some grandkids running around looking in the office, be like, what is that?
26 minutes after the hour, we have to get to a break. Thursday, October 1st, we'll talk to A.J. Hawk about the game being canceled this weekend or postponed. We'll talk about Thursday Night Football. We'll take some of your phone calls. 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. That's 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. I think the lines are full. Once we take one, it'll open back up. Let's have a hell of a Thursday before the biggest Mega Bowl in the history of the NFL tonight as the Denver Broncos travel to MetLife Field to take on the New York Jets. This is the Pat McAfee Show. We'll see you on the other side.
Lucky to be here at the Northrop Hall. College game day is having a blast here. Minnesota has shown up. Row the boat, Sky U-Mall, go Gophers. Let's get the axe and keep that thing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Place is about to lose their minds. Ladies and gentlemen, watch a man maestro a crowd like Coach Lee Corso.
Watch, now he'll say to me, works every time, what?
Every time. This obviously led to a nightmare situation for Luke Logan, who misses the extra point. An absolute pandemonium happened. But in Dwayne Haskins' defense, the Redskins and Dwayne Haskins might never win a game again. That guy's flexing like PJ Fleck a little bit. Good sells a little bit. He got me the throw. Throw the flag. Sell your soul. Who hates Iowa? A lot of hate here in Minnesota, Maria. Hey, you look good, pal. For me, right after we leave this octagon, I'm going to Lake Minnetonka. I'm pulling a swordfish out of there. Then I'm going to stop by Paisley Park. I'm going to pay my respects to Prince in the Purple Rain. Then I'm going to walk into TCF Bank Stadium, and I'm going to say,
I didn't think I could continue to be an FCC-regulated person without really hitting my max potential.
And that's why he's with us. I love it. The Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82.
Welcome back. That one wasn't a bad bumper at all. We are currently in the middle of McAfee and Hawk Sports Talk here. Joined by AJ Hawk. AJ, tonight, Mega Bowl. Who sucks more bowl? Denver Broncos, New York Jets. Darius Butler says hammer the over for Rippin at quarterback at 204.5 yards against his New York Jets defense, and hammer the under for Sam Darnold, 225.5 yards passing against this Broncos defense. AJ, how do you see the game going tonight, and are you excited for it? I think it's going to be chaos. I do. I think it's going to be awesome, just like last week was.
I'm excited to watch it. I don't know how you bet the over-under on passing yards for quarterbacks, especially when, like a guy like Rippin, you know they're going to try to, especially early, complete some easy balls. Maybe a guy takes a screen for 70. Like they get those easy 2-yard passes. A guy breaks a few tackles and has a 60-yard gainer. So I don't know yardage, how you do that. But I still like Sam Darnold. I just don't think the Jets overall, I don't know if they're good enough to win this game.
They're so bad at the football, but you would think even like the bad football teams every once in a while can put it together. And if there was ever a week, and I think this is what the Jets' mindset is probably in that locker room, like, hey boys, we haven't played our best football, okay? We have not even competed with anybody yet. But tonight, they are out. Just like the Giants had last week, they are out basically at every main position. They are out tonight. If we are to win a game this season, tonight is a big opportunity for us because the future looks awfully gloomy and doomy for our franchise with where we're sitting right now. And Adam Gase knows that too. He's staring in the mirror at the man that is about to battle some media problems tomorrow morning if he loses to the Denver Broncos tonight.
Well, yeah, and think about it. What if they just squeak out a victory? Is that good enough for the Jets to get people off their back?
I know. What if the fans are like, you only beat the Broncos who had a guy named Ripien playing
by 3.
By 3. That would be awesome if that's what the Jets fans decided to do. If the Jets fans, after they get a win, decide to be like, not good enough, get them out, I will love that savagery.
If they win tonight, the Jets fans, the Jets fans are going to be pissed.
What'd you say?
If the Jets win tonight, the Jets fans are going to be very, very upset.
Why is that? Because they don't get moved on from Adam Gase? Because
they know that the season is fucked. Like, it's a wash. So why win a game against a team who is potentially going to be going against you for a high draft pick? Like, if I'm a Jets fan, I want to lose tonight.
Well, and if you win tonight, that gives Gase, another couple weeks at least. And then if he wins 3 weeks from now, that gives him another couple weeks, which extends the entire season. And I'm not saying the Johnson family's going to pull the trigger on him mid-season or whatever, but the New York Jets fans have been a-calling for it. They've been on the phone loudly as much as they possibly can. What's up, AJ?
No, should you give up on them this early, though? I mean, we're only 3 games in.
Early.
Like, if you're a Jets fan, do you really want them? I know you're saying you want to say, hey, if we're going to be bad, we want to be the worst team in the league so we can hopefully draft Trevor Lawrence #1 overall if you do want to move on from Sam Darnold. But do you give up 3 games in like this if you're a Jets guy?
I'm not a Jets fan, and all I can look at is from outside in. And you see, like, if you're a Jets fan, I feel like you're probably, you're well versed at being pissed off, right?
Oh yeah,
whole life. And in your repetitions of being frustrated with your football team, it's probably taught you to look into other things to make you even more pissed off about what's going on, the situation you're in. For instance, if I'm a Jets fan and I start looking at what happened to the Miami Dolphins players whenever Adam Gase left, whether it's Ryan Tannehill or anybody else down there that has just really blossomed into good football players, that whenever Adam Gase was in charge, they stunk. You start thinking, you add that into just the 3 games into the thing. Then you think about what happened before, where it's like, why is this guy got this? And then in New York, they got the tabloids and the rumor mills and everything like that. And they're like, Adam Gase comes out and he just hates everybody, but I'm rich, is his comments, and those are all alleged, obviously. But whenever you add all those things in there, I don't think it's just 3 weeks in at this point. I think for Jets fans, they're like, hey, we are 10 years into this relationship already, and we hate everything about it.
Pat, Jets fans go into the season with the expectation of doing absolutely nothing. So any win is anything positive is a bonus.
There's a guy that grew up in Manhattan, by the way, around probably a lot of Jets fans. He is a Giants fan, and they stink too.
Yeah, they're very shitty.
A lot of
32-31.
You're saying don't give up on Adam Gase yet. This is like pulling Mitchell Trubisky in the third quarter whenever he's already an undefeated quarterback. Is that what you're saying right there?
I'm not saying give up on him, Adam Gase or the Jets. I just wonder if, like, I get to where you can, if you're a fan, you can get to that point where, like, hey, if we're going to be bad, we want to be as bad as we possibly can. We want to be the worst. So it'll help us next year and hopefully down the road. But I just feel like 3 games in is too early. I'm not saying Adam Gase is the savior, but I think with Sam Darnold, they at least have a chance. I know they're not a great football team, but I wouldn't be saying we're going to be the worst team in the league right now.
Sam Darnold might be dead by week 6.
Yeah, I mean, 3 games in, like, they're not the Texans 3 games in where they played the Ravens, Chiefs, and Steelers.
Yeah.
They're 3 games in where they have looked like they are the worst team in the league.
Yeah, they're not even competing with it. There is a storm happening right above our studio right now. I don't know if you can hear that. I thought it was potentially the roof coming down.
Monsoon.
Hopefully not.
I thought a train was coming through your house or your library over there, AJ.
Do you think that Jets fans ultimately, though, respect Gase? Because it's like, hey, listen, guy hoodwinked us. He made us believe that he was worth a fuck without Peyton Manning. And you know what? That's our penance. We got to live with it.
Sell me this pen.
And the Dolphins fell for it, right?
Yeah.
The Dolphins, he took the pen. He told them, you need to write something? You got anything to write with? Here's a pen. That's what he did to the Dolphins, and then didn't have success there. And they're like, you know what? We're the place for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Dolphins, and it wasn't Adam. It was the Dolphins. Let's get him here. So he got them twice. So I would assume there is some sort of hustler out there that's like, you know what? The guy got 2 NFL teams to pay him a lot of money to be a head coach. But also, what happens if tonight is the night Adam Gase learns how to be a good head coach? What if this short week, where other teams can't handle the COVID outbreak, his team has been able to handle it? What if on this short week, with Sam Darnold playing against a team with a quarterback with no name, becomes the starting point of an Adam Gase legendary run with the Jets? That is possible.
Yeah.
And that should be talked about at least a little bit.
It's going to have to happen if he wants a chance to stick around, and if Sam Darnold does too. I mean, Sam's fighting for his life. Like you said, he may be dead in 6 weeks from now if they don't get him some protection. But if they want any kind of chance, they have to look good and get a win tonight. Like if the Jets even have a glimmer of hope of turning things around a tiny bit, they have to win tonight.
And if you're a Jets fan, I know it can be very easy to say, like, Ryan Tannehill with Adam Gase, bad football player. Without Adam Gase, good football player. Wide receiver Devontae Parker with Adam Gase was almost cut, healthy scratch, bad football player. Without Adam Gase, superstar wide receiver. You can talk about Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell without Adam Gase, incredible football player. With Adam Gase, and after a rap career in a year off, which we should talk about, not a good football player. It seems like there is a trend here with certain players.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Kenyon
Drake.
Jamal Adams. I mean, it seems
Jarvis Landry.
you could just go through like the list here. There seems to be a lot of like, this guy stinks if you're a Jets fan. But tonight, I guess he could potentially get a win and turn things around. I mean, that is something we should keep in mind.
1-15.
What's that?
If he needs to make a little cash on the side, he should sell like a seminar on how to interview for a job, because he must be the greatest interviewer ever.
Let's go to Matt in Northern California. What's going on, Matt?
NorCal.
Hey, boys, how's it going? Hope you guys are having a great Thursday.
Hey, great to chat with you, too. I like the fact that you separated yourself from Southern California, because I do believe there was a time not long ago before the quarantine that California was potentially going to split into a couple different states. I believe that hit the internet.
Oh, you're talking about the state of Jefferson. Yeah, it's been a big movement up here in Northern California for like 15 years to get lost from the rest of the state and do our own thing.
See, I like to know a little bit about everything so I can talk to anybody about anything. And that's a particular situation where it just popped up here in Northern California. What do you want to talk about, Matt?
I just know, first off, the state of Jefferson is because everyone up in NorCal is done with the Stooges in SoCal. But
that's what I heard.
You guys have had a lot of Niners talk today, which has been awesome. You don't get to hear it much, but so they're playing up against Philly, and Philly is in a tough spot with Carson Wentz. So the Niners defensive line can still play despite injuries. Same with our backfield. We're getting it done with Witherspoon out there. I am concerned about Richard Sherman, but do you think the Niners defense is just about to pick apart Carson Wentz this weekend?
Great question. Not just the defense. I think the good thing about the Niners is that offense. But whenever you talk about that defense last year, they were the most dominant force in all of football there for the first 8 weeks of football last year. They got Bosa out, right? Bosa's out.
Oh, yeah. Season.
Like out.
Yeah.
And he was a massive part of it. Wasn't Sherman out for a little bit?
Sherman's on the IR right now.
Who's it, Thomas, the other DN, who's also out?
You lose a lot of dudes. That affects things for sure, but the Philadelphia Eagles are coming off a tie. So, I mean, I don't know what Philadelphia Eagles team you're going to get here, but how do you feel about the Niners defense this year, especially with all those injuries? Isn't a large part of defense is having dudes, isn't it? Like on offense, if you have a good scheme, you can win some things, but on defense, you have to have dudes if you want to be good, right?
Yeah, you have to have dudes that are going to win their one-on-one matchups, and that's what Bosa did. I mean, Solomon Thomas, who was hurt, he didn't have as much success as Bosa, but he's still a solid. Like I remember, I called one of his games in college when he was at Stanford. Just an absolute rock of a dude. But yeah, you have to have guys. And Richard Sherman, I know he'll be back this year at some point. But yeah, it hurts. It just makes it even more impressive, though, what Shanahan is able to do when his starting quarterback goes down. Oh, hey, by the way, we're going to have a bunch of other stars go down too. Good luck. Go win some ball games.
36-9, they beat the Giants.
Wow.
Do we have that tweet still with all the people that are out? It was from yesterday. The list of everybody that was out for this Niners team whenever they dog walked the Giants. I mean, it was
taught them a lesson.
It was bad. I bet the Giants money line, so maybe this is why I was paying such close attention to it. Dove Kleiman at NFL_Dove Kleiman, verified account. The 49ers, is that the name? Dove?
Big Dove?
I think probably.
Dove?
It's a good follow, but I don't know how to.
He is a great follow. We get a lot of information from this guy, and is it a guy? I have no idea. Who knows?
I don't know, Big Dove.
D-O-V Kleiman or Kleeman. The 49ers are missing QB 1, running back 1, running back 2, tight end 1, tight end 2, wide receiver 1, cornerback 1, cornerback 2, cornerback 4, DN 1, DN 3, DN 4, DN 5, linebacker 2, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, center 1, and they were on the second week of a road trip over to New Jersey. They still won by 27. So they're doing something over there, and Carson Wentz has got to figure it the fuck out.
I don't know if this is an indictment on the Eagles or a plus for the Niners. They are 7-point favorites against the Eagles with those. I think most of those guys are still out.
That's unbelievable, AJ. That's a great coaching staff, huh?
Yeah, led by Shanahan. It's such a creative play caller. They can have their backup step in and still be super productive. That doesn't happen everywhere. That's very difficult to actually make work, especially when you have some defensive guys go down too. I've always been impressed with Shanahan and his offensive brain for sure. I think he just dreams. He dreams in plays and coverages and stuff. He's such a football guy, a football nerd.
Oh, you're saying eat, breathe, sleep, dream. Football.
Hell yeah.
That's what you're saying there, pal?
That's what I'm saying.
Hell yeah.
Hey, how come you don't coach football, AJ? Why don't you get back to the game a little bit? Why don't you get back to the game a little bit?
Well, as our previous guest said, he moved his wife 18 times. I built a house in Ohio. I don't think I'm going to move, and I don't think I'm very good at it either. So I would just hang out here.
Wait until you see what I'm potentially cooking up over here right now, AJ.
Oh.
I'm cooking up something nice over here.
What does that mean?
You have no
anything
clue.
To do with the text you sent me?
What's that?
Does that have anything to do with the text you sent me? That you might not remember?
Yeah, I do remember. What are you talking about?
Jeez.
I do remember, and you gave me a half-ass answer, and I just wanted to check. I just wanted to check your commitment on whether or not that'd be something you'd be open to. We cannot talk about that yet because there is a big conversation happening on either sides there. But that could be a massive thing. But no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something else that kind of. Big revelation popped into our life. You know what I mean?
Half-ass hawk.
Yeah, and AJ just doesn't even answer, doesn't even take anything serious.
It's like one time, dude.
I'll tell you off air. I'm cooking right now.
Cooking.
Hell yeah.
Maybe
You're always. Have you ever not been cooking? Like every day you have 49 different ideas and options of where you may go next.
Yeah.
It's good to have options,
Great thing,
dude.
You're an innovator. You're like Steve Jobs.
Oh.
Well, me, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs,
But like a better guy.
and Kanye West, all college dropouts.
But,
So,
but a better guy.
people forget. Yeah, well, I'm not a father yet, so I hope to be a better father than Steve Jobs.
Right.
Hard not to be.
Because that's really the only place where he was a shitheel.
Yeah, it was a shitheel, but boy,
Well, he
he
stole everyone's
changed.
ideas.
He changed. Well,
Oh, come on.
I did.
Execution, though.
Yeah. If I have a bunch of quotes on people's walls,
Yeah.
later,
Perfect.
Yeah, Steve Jobs quotes, that'd be good. Let's go to Victor in Oklahoma. Hey, Boomer down there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, go Pokes. Anyways, how are you doing? Cool, whatever. I just want to say right now, you've been the most disrespectful person. No, Josh Allen up in the.
Here we go.
Hey,
Bill's
How do Orlovsky get to you?
you got a guy who has never had a 300-yard passing game until this season. Then he goes 300, 400, 300. He's on pace, though, for 5,500 yards and 53 touchdowns. But once again, obviously, that is, all because of the run game. Oh, wait, he has 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So I demand an apology from him. Also, I got to go feed my goats right now. Named them after the show, Crimson Chin and Patricia.
Way to go, Victor. Bills Mafia's gotten so soft, man. I said Josh Allen wasn't as good as Aaron Rodgers, and I'm getting attacked for being disrespectful to Josh Allen. I did compliment the run game because I watched a little bit of the game last week, and they were running the ball all over the place. I guess it hasn't been great the first couple games, so that was a miss, I assume. But, hey, Josh Allen's playing great football. And if he had never had a 300-yard game and then now he's all over the place, like, I can understand the excitement. But Aaron's been doing that for, 15 years at this point.
You didn't say he was bad. You just said Aaron was good.
I said Aaron's better than him. And I'm the disrespectful guy. This is Bills Mafia, though. Hey, you guys are better than this, dude. Right. Hey, Buffalo, you're better than this. Your bars are open until 4 a.m. You guys are a good time. Bills Mafia's been there for so damn long whenever the team wasn't. You're known for your notoriously incredible tailgates and the willingness to survive any blizzard to cheer for your squad. And nobody circles the wagons like Bills Mafia. I am on your side here. All I clearly said was, you talking about Josh Allen being the best fucking player in the NFL right now is absurd. And we like Josh Allen.
Yes. Yeah.
And we just so happen to have a guy on the show every single week who right now is playing football better than every human playing football who's been doing it for a long time. That is not a shot at Josh Allen. I would assume Josh Allen's pumped to even be in the conversation.
Yeah, I would think so.
But saying Aaron Rodgers playing better football than Josh Allen, that is not disrespectful.
No, don't be like Browns fans.
And my grandma's name was Patricia, who I was named after, so I take that as a compliment. She was an awesome lady. Victor.
Awesome. Great name.
Yeah, so go back to your fucking goats, dude. Get out of here. Bro.
When you elevate somebody else, like saying Aaron Rodgers is playing some of the best football, that doesn't take anything away from Russell Wilson, doesn't take anything away from Josh Allen. I have to tell my kids this all the time. If I tell my son, hey, good job, man, you got 10 out of 10 on your quiz, then my daughter wants to say, well, what about me? I'm like, hey, just because I pumped him up I'm not taking you down. Like, it lifts everybody. It means nothing negative to other people. It's just we're speaking on one person.
How old are your kids?
9, 7, 4, and 3.
At what age do you think you learned that lesson right there?
Which one?
The one you just talked about, because I'm wondering about Bills Mafia being the same as fucking 9-year-olds.
Yikes!
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, they've heard that message. Whether they've learned it and they agree with it, that's another story.
Listen, I like Bills Mafia. I like Josh Allen.
We love him.
But I will not apologize for saying Aaron Rodgers is the best football player on earth right now. I will not apologize for it. Hey, Josh, I hope you continue to throw for 340.
Shouldn't Seattle be mad at you too, though, and say, well, what do you mean? Russell's on pace. He's going to get his MVP now.
They're mature.
No, they know what they got in the game.
They've won games in the last 10 years, so they know.
If you want to crown the goddamn guy, crown him. But, let's wait until he wins a playoff game before we fucking put him in Canton.
It's these franchises that haven't won in 30 years, and then they get some success, and if you don't talk about them more than everyone else, they get pissed. I've been dealing with the Browns for the last fucking 3 years.
Well, I will say this, though. The Bills have been good here for the last couple of years.
They have.
And they've been plagued by the Patriots for the last 2 decades. So I can understand, hey, when we will give credit to Bills Mafia whenever maybe not enough, I guess. And we will, hey, listen, I'll look at the dry erase board and I will look at it and see if I'm giving enough attention and love to Bills Mafia as it deserves, as it calls for. Mm-hmm. But I will not take back that I said Aaron Rodgers is better than Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, by the way, Josh Allen might become the best quarterback to ever exist. Yeah. Like he literally might. Every year he's getting so much better. He might be the best quarterback to ever exist at some point. And when that day comes, guess what? We'll say it.
Yeah, we'll be there.
We will say it. We will say it. Let's go to Nick in Rhode Island. What's going on, Nick? Tiny little state.
What's going on, Pat? AJ, boys?
Tiny little state.
It's gorgeous.
Just hanging out, Nick. What do you want to talk about?
I was wondering, is it fair to Teddy Bridgewater to say that the way that the season is trending, is it potentially his last season as a starter?
Whoa.
Teddy. It's a great question. It's a great question by Nick, though. It's a great question.
Bit early for that. They're going to have a little hefty cap hit if they think this is his last year as a starter for him in Carolina.
But it wasn't as big of a cap hit as a team that would say they're committed to a quarterback long term. I think it's only like $20 or $20-something million per year. This is very similar to the Chris Ballard, Jacoby Brissett deal that happened, where Chris Ballard actually said the reason why the deal was the way it is because he wasn't 100% sure if he was quarterback in the future. Now, Teddy Bridgewater will not be judged solely off of this year if he has a bad time, because Christian McCaffrey, which is the guy you paid a lot of money to, who was like 90% of your offense last year, got hurt. He's out for 5 to 6 weeks. So I think it's a little bit early to be judging Teddy Bridgewater like that. But I don't know if the Carolina Panthers and Matt Rule and Joe Brady down there are 100% sold that Teddy Bridgewater is their guy going forward. I think that's why the deal was made the way it is. Like, we think we got a guy. We're not 100% sure. And I would assume Teddy Bridgewater knows that is the case as well. Where are you going to
he hasn't been playing bad. Like, he had 2 bad turnovers against the Bucs early, but then he threw for like 360 in that game. I don't think the Carolina Panthers offense is the issue there.
He threw for 360. Is he better than Josh Allen?
Yeah, he's been slinging.
Wow. No. I'm not trying it.
And they just beat the Chargers.
I just asked a question.
Just beat the Chargers. Stingy D.
Stingy D.
Yeah. Control Patty Mahomes. Sorry, Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's go to Cole in Canada. Thank God Canada's calling back in. What's going on, Cole?
Just want to say shout out to all the boys at Foxy McMoraldo. I forget you guys' name, I'm sorry, but you guys make the show awesome. You guys are inspiring to me every single day. I have a story for AJ Hawk about how I got into football.
You're welcome for answering.
Playing Madden NFL 09, and the only name that I could see was Hawk. And I was like, dude, that is the coolest name I've ever seen. What is his name? And my friend told me it was AJ Hawk, and I thought that was the coolest name ever. And ever since then, I've been a fan of the Green Bay Packers and of AJ Hawk. So.
Oh, that's awesome. His son Mike is a legendary guy as well.
I love that name. So my question for you, Pat, is after I'm a huge Cardinals fan. After watching the Cardinals lose to Foxy's Lions very sadly, I want your opinion on how do you think the Cardinals are going to do for the rest of the season?
Great question, Cole. I got a question about Cole's fanhood loyalty.
Yeah.
Seems like he bounces around a lot. And the way he picks teams is very interesting. I like that name. I'm going to cheer for that team forever. And then when he retires, I guess I'm going to go to the Cardinals. It all depends on Kyler Murray. Everything depends on Kyler Murray. I think now, granted, you bring in Nuke, and you got Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, you're going to win games. They're a good team. But if Kyler Murray can continue to be the way he was the first couple games, as opposed to that third game, which it just felt like he just was off or something. I don't know, bad mood or whatever. If Kyler Murray can continue to be that guy he was in the first two games, the Cardinals are a real legit squad. But this is TBD because Kyler and Cliff Kingsbury are so young into this thing. We have no idea what to expect 5 weeks from now from that team.
Yeah, but you're right. It all runs through Kyler. The guy is so dynamic. He does things like how he moves, his size, how strong his arm is. Like you wouldn't think it is. His quick release, and how he can just make everybody miss in open space. Like we don't see really anybody do that. How he ties it all together. So yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to be good, and I think because of him, and I think they have some sleepy good guys on defense. When I say sleepy, I mean like under the radar guys. Buda Baker can play. Patrick Peterson's still there. Chandler Jones gets 20 sacks a year that no one ever talks about. Like they have players.
He plays the guitar, I think, right? Chandler Jones, big guitar player after he gets a sack. I think he does the
Lance Stevenson.
Yeah, which is awesome, by the way.
You had Jared Allen on. Remember, like Jared's little calf roping deal, his celebration. I watched that happen a million times. I feel like we're playing against him, and that place when he would do that in Minnesota, that place would lose its mind. It was awesome.
He said to quote, that was back in the day when you could kind of teabag guys too. He would do it right on top.
Yeah. He put his one leg up real high. He was right. You're right. That was a beautiful move.
Yeah, it was a aggressive move that I'm happy that all of Minnesota lost their mind. And he said he did it so 80,000 people would chant his name, and it was memorable for sure. Last call of the day. Let's go to Garrett in South Dakota. What's going on, Garrett?
Hey, what's going on, Pat?
Hey, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. It's go big, go red, go Yokes, man.
Nah, South Dakota State's the only school in South Dakota. That's the only one, pal.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you guys, what do you think the Vikings going 0-16 and then not getting the first-round pick because they traded away with everything that they have and being a terrible organization, just like the other Minnesota organization, like the Minnesota Twins?
Whoa.
Easy on the Twins,
That's
dude.
a deep-seated Twins.
But in South Dakota, is it organization? Is that the move? They just, hey, listen, this is how it's spelled. We're going to talk about this. The Minnesota Vikings do not have a first-round draft pick next year?
Because of they traded Diggs to Buffalo, I believe. Is that why?
So they would give up their first-round draft pick there?
They traded Diggs.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You potentially get one on the other side there. That's interesting because if you do earn the number one overall pick and you had traded that away to somebody else who was a good team and all of a sudden they fall in, that would be awesome. The NFL would be in uproar, and then they'd be able to trade away because Trevor Lawrence is going to be worth, what, probably 2 to 3 first-rounders in the future? I mean, that would be wild.
Dallas had it.
It would be great for whoever was drafted first, too. If you're Trevor Lawrence, you would, if they stayed there at number one, you'd go to a better team than you normally would going number one overall.
Boys, what are you drinking over there?
A little liquid death, baby. Nothing better. The only reason I have energy during this show is the death, baby.
It's coldest water in the history of water.
Amen.
Go ahead and slug it down, a tall boy, liquid death. AJ, anything to wrap this show up for the listeners on Sirius XM Mad Dog Radio, Channel 82?
No, I think they're all excited. I can't wait for Mad Dog to take the airwaves. The legend will do it again. It's an honor to be the lead-in to him, but I will be anxiously awaiting the game tonight. I have a countdown clock going to the house.
Wow.
Let's go.
Me too. I'm pumped for it, AJ. The Mega Bowl, who sucks more, is tonight. We'll react to that tomorrow, plus some more guests. We're not 100% sure who, but I think it'll be a great conversation on a Feel Good Friday. No matter where you're watching or listening, we can't thank you enough. We know you have other options. The fact you allow us a part of your day, we are eternally grateful for. Chris, Mad Dog Russo, Mad Dog Unleashes on the other side. This has been the Pat McAfee Show, Tuesday, October 1st, 2020. Woo.
No.
Where you at, Colin?
We won't do it because you bodied his ass earlier.
Yeah, we have this guy in our ear from Sirius, ain't he? I'm sure he's a nice
producer.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a nice guy.
Good guy.
I'm sure he's a nice guy in person, but
yeah,
he needs a liquid death.
He does need a liquid death to just kind of relax a little bit, cool off, get a little cold water.
CBD.
He'll scream talk at us like whenever we come back, and it's like,
wait, what?
All right,
there he is.
Yeah,
there he is. He's
just heard
back.
him. Yeah, just heard him right there.
The ghost.
He just came back. This guy.
By the way, that caller set us up for failure. The Vikings do have a first-round pick if the internet is correct.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem. Whenever you just are a nice human, that just listens to what people say and assume that they've done their research. But anytime somebody says organization, you just have to know that they're probably fucking off a little bit. Yep. Don't you think, AJ? Don't you think?
I guess so. I didn't pick up on as much as you did. I heard it, but then you really put a stamp on it.
Well, I just, you know a lot of things about that person. As soon as you hear that, you're like, So you've just gone your whole life saying it? Is that how it goes? And then you have to wonder, like, he probably read it somewhere that is how it's actually supposed to be pronounced. So then he's a GIF, not a GIF guy.
Oh, geez.
There's so many things that you immediately know as soon as you hear something like that. And it's like, all right, well, now I got to fact check everything this guy's got going on.
That's a good point. You can learn. I guess you can learn a lot just from their short question, can't you?
And by the way, that guy back in the day, before Google, had a fucking field day with people.
Smartest guy in South Dakota.
Oh my God. The answers he would give to people that he knew nothing about, that he would just hammer home, and people would just go about their lives with thinking that was the right answer forever, because there's no thing in our pocket where we could just immediately go, is that right? And
let me check.
It's a different world now. How many kids do you have? 4, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. They have phones?
No way.
I watched that. I watched a little bit of that dilemma thing.
The social.
Yeah, people have been talking all about it. Wait, everyone's like, "Oh man, it makes me want to delete my Instagram right now." Like, what does it do? I haven't seen it.
I didn't get through all of it. I only got through a little bit of it, and it's just like that one. I guess there's another documentary on Netflix that basically makes you a vegan immediately upon watching it. I'm like, well, I'm not going to watch that for sure. I don't want to do that.
I've seen it. It's not going to make you a vegan, Pat. You can watch it.
I don't know.
Well, I don't trust me as much as you trusted yourself to watch that. The thing about the social dilemma one is I heard all these terrible things, and then I talked to my friend who has a kid, and he said he watched it. He took away a lot of stuff about his kid. Like, I don't think I'm going to allow my kid to have a smartphone or whatever, because the way that it's making kids think by just what they're seeing, and it's kind of like I'm kind of nervous to have children in this world, because what they get shown and your pride and your ego, like, it's just, there's a lot of shit going on in your phone that I don't even think about, because I look at the phone and it's like, oh, this is a good time here. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this. There's a lot of shit going on there cooking.
It affects developing brains, apparently, is the big thing. Is that, like, if you're not, like, fully a grown up yet and you're doing all this shit when you're, 10, 11, 12, your brain just gets fucked the way it develops.
I think confidence is maybe the most important thing that a human can have. And I do believe that these smartphones, for a lot of these young kids and stuff, have just been burying people's confidence. Like, this is what perfection is. Oh, by the way, your friends are going out and doing this, and you can see that they're doing it and you're not there. Oh, they didn't like your this, they didn't like that. I don't even know. If I have a kid, I mean, that's just like you can't be on your smartphone. Dad, you live on your fucking phone. It's like, yeah, but you're too dumb yet. You don't know.
You don't get it. You don't know shit about the world.
Like, it's a very interesting thing,
Yeah, imagine if you grew up with that. Like, that's the thing. We didn't grow up with me and you at least didn't grow up having all of that right at your fingertips. But yeah, like, my daughter's in 4th grade. She has multiple friends that have a full working phone.
Jesus.
And so, yeah, it's just crazy. It scares the hell out of me. And you're right when you say, like, oh, the people are getting bullied online. I understand how it happens. Like, if they say you're a middle school, high school kid, you have Instagram and you think you have this group of friends and they're having a big old party 6 houses down, and you're sitting at home by yourself and you sent text to half the people at the party. Like, I can understand how that would mess with your brain when you're a middle school kid.
And by the way, that's maybe not the form of bullying that we experience, but it has the same outcome, I would assume, for these kids. And that was kind of what my takeaway from the little bit that I watched was. Like, it kind of opened my eyes. I was like, man, I didn't even think about that.
Well, adults can't handle it. Adults can't handle all of the social media and everything it does to our brains. So what makes us think young kids with developing brains can handle this?
Yeah, scary. It's a very – technology is the greatest thing in the history of the world. It's also, at the exact same time, the worst thing in the history of the world. It is. It's quite a conundrum.
I think the best invention ever is probably air conditioning.
Or the wheel.
The air conditioning is.
It's not really technology. The wheel, I don't think. The
on cars it is.
TV is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm taking air conditioning just because. Can you imagine in this world if we didn't have it?
Well, yeah, but you just move north. I think a lot of people would just change their.
Canada would be huge.
Move a little bit north.
Yeah, that's doable. Everybody just moved north.
Hey, listen, you should see all the homeless fuckers that moved into Indianapolis over like a week and a half, 2 weeks. It's easy to move if you want to. From my understanding, if you drive around downtown Indianapolis, it is pretty easy to get around. Air conditioning is a big one. I get hot, so I think that is something that I would love. I love the internet though. Like I know that we kind of just bashed it right there. Yeah. I love the internet. Was a hell of a creation.
Memes are awesome.
Yeah. Memes?
Yeah. Seriously.
That's the first thing I think of, too, when I think of the amazing internet.
You know what? They're just bringing joy. I mean, some are terrible. Some are great. Most are average. But you know what they're trying to do? They're just trying to bring the best out of you.
Yeah.
Now, if you are on the meme, not good. But everybody else gets a chance to laugh at said loser that had a situation happen.
Being the meme, not as fun as reading the meme.
Yeah.
The internet's saying plumbing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it would be poop everywhere.
You know, my
Roman Empire.
Good point.
Did you ever have to go to a place where you had to, like, bathe with a bucket in a bathtub?
Yeah, over the Dominican Republic, we had a few sketchy areas.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you go to the Dominican Republic for? Just to hang out? Or?
No, we went with buddy I played with Brady Papinga and his wife, and then Brady Quinn, my brother-in-law, like on a like a 7-day mission trip type thing up in the mountains, chopping trees with hatchets. And
mission trip?
Wow. You were spreading the name of the Jesus over there in Dominican Republic?
Well, so we did get roped into that. We didn't understand at the time, but all of a sudden we took a meeting that someone had, and my good friend Brady Papinga, is a Mormon, the Latter-day Saints, and all of a sudden we were sitting in this nice, impeccable building in the Dominican talking to one of the execs with the Mormon church, and I was looking at my wife and Brady, I'm like, is this what the trip was about? What are we doing? Yeah. Like, and it was fine. They didn't like pressure us. They were just showing us and telling us all the good that they do on the island for people. But yeah, it was a funny little interaction.
Oh my God, you were a Mormon there for a couple of days. Congratulations.
I guess so. Yeah. Where am I going next? Scientology?
Whoa.
AJ, why even say
easy?
I always said that because there's a big building, not like 10 miles from my house. They took over a nice sized building here, so they have a strong foothold here in Columbus.
I did not know that Scientology is making its way to Columbus. I should have guessed that with the Epstein doc that I watched.
Yeah.
That there was probably some sort of movement happening in Columbus with that mansion that he lived in next to your house there for a while. The Scientology thing is very interesting. Have you heard the story about it in San Francisco when Ty dragged me away from the building that I was even looking at?
Were you going to get audited?
Excuse me?
Where you sit there and you hold the cans and you confess every sin you've ever done?
I don't know if that's probably what they would have done to me. Yeah, and I didn't know that's how they hold everything over everybody's head, right? That's what they do. They kind of just blackmail you for the rest of your life.
Pretty much.
But we were walking from our studio to our hotel because we were doing a show out there when I was calling the Stanford game, and we would walk literally right past, much like you said, a massive Scientology church, and I'd never seen one in real life, so I was real pumped about this. I've always heard these stories, and they had the doors open, very welcoming, obviously, very nice, and I was just looking in the door or whatever, and I was like, oh yes, I'm a pretty inquisitive person. I was like, I've never seen something like this. I've heard stories. I was like, see what's going on. I'm looking in there or whatever, and Ty grabs me by the back and goes, don't even fucking look in there, and just he pulls me off, and we just walk away basically, right? And I'm like, Ty, you're hilarious, or whatever. Ty, you're hilarious. He was like, no. If they know who you are, which they probably already do, they're going to sink their claws in you and not let you go anywhere. And I'm like, all right, so we move along, okay? We go back down to that same area 8 hours later to have dinner or whatever. Yeah. And we walk outside, and I'm like, oh, there's the Scientology church again. I'm like, let's go over there. And Ty goes, don't you even fucking think about it. There was a guy in a suit right behind us that basically was following us and then walked right over to the church right inside of there. And Ty was like, see, that guy was just about to scoop you up and get you in there for your little auditing thing. So that was my experience with the Scientology. I want to let them know that I don't really believe in anything, but I was curious. But if you were to get me down there, I think it would be a hilarious time. I'd let you know that.
Well, I don't know if they let you out once you get in. I mean, AJ, you better hope they don't have a bird's eye view of your fucking estate. Otherwise, you're going to be a level 3 Thetan in no time, my friend.
Ty was hilarious. He grabbed me. Don't even fucking look in there. I'm like, Jesus, Ty, what are we
Watch that documentary.
You have a lot of earning power. You would do well.
I was just so intrigued. I just feel like those people, though, they don't know what they're getting into with me. Like whenever the people would show up at my house knocking, ready to sell whatever book they believe in or whatever, they think they're giving a message. It's like, no, I got questions for you too. And then I guess that's just not how it works in that particular.
Well, I mean, I'm not very versed on it, but you watch that fucking documentary, Going Clear, and I'll tell you what, you're going to want to steer clear of Scientology.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about those documentaries is they will get you. That's why that Social Dilemma one I did not dive too deep into. AJ, I can't thank you enough, brother. We'll see you mañana.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Who are you betting tonight?
I'm taking the Broncos.
Yes. Okay, what is our poll saying, Zito? Wrap up of our final poll here. I think you're with the people.
I'm thinking because I think Blake Bortles could get some time.
Oh.
They got a great running
If Blake gets in, he's going to sling that thing around. He's going to be productive.
He's not going to be scared because he's already made enough money. He's already been around. I assume he was completely cool with just being on the couch whenever they brought him in. And if he gets a chance to go in, might as well fucking sling it, dude. You're 100%. I didn't even think about potential Blake Bortles appearance tonight.
With 13,000 votes, Broncos at 78%, Jets 22%.
I think this is potentially the internet hearing everybody talk about how bad the Jets are. We have to remember.
I tagged Gary V, though.
You tagged Gary V?
Yeah, I put him under CC just because he's like the Jets guy.
Yeah.
He's also AJ's guy.
Oh, yeah.
AJ did an entire podcast about him. Okay, 7 minutes after 3 here. We got about 23 minutes until Hammer Don with Tone Diggs, Michael Lombardi, myself, and Gumpy. Right back here at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. From me, AJ, everybody else, we can't thank you enough for listening. We're almost at 1 million subscribers. So be a friend, tell a friend. We're giving away $100,000 in cash whenever we get there to random subscribers. I think we're going to give 30,000 to one person, 20,000 to one person, and then 50 people are going to get $1,000. So
wow.
52 winners plus some other things that we're going to give away. We're so thankful that you choose to listen or choose to watch our shit. I know that there's a lot of other things on the internet. The fact that you rock with us, we are very, very, very thankful. All right, have a great Thursday, October 1st. Cheers. Tone Diggs is the host. Michael Lombardi, former GM, is on there. And then it's me and Gumpy. Okay, and me and Gumpy sit on the desk next to each other, and I think we're the only ones with a winning record at this point.
Well, that's not true.
Clean
but
it up.
you do.
I mean, the only guys that had the balls to make a pick on Monday night.
Bingo. Whoa. I just want to say this. Me and Gumpy are a tag team in this gambling road right now, and we are hot, AJ. AJ, we are hot right now.